Good morning, everybody. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I debate politics and stuff like that with whoever calls into my show from TikTok Live. We will be taking phone number calls soon. I'm buying an external phone. It's a whole thing about getting that to work, but we are working on it. If you're watching this after the fact as a podcast on YouTube, you can find a pinned comment that'll tell you when the first call starts, as well as more comprehensive timestamps in the description. The news story I wanted to broach today, just one thing I wanted to cover really quick, is that some journalists at the New York Times have been subpoenaed. Trump's attacking the First Amendment. Might have some more details on that a little later on in the show if we have time to get to it. But I just wanted to bring that up as a concern that I have. It's concerning when they start subpoenaing journalists in the police state that you live in. Real bad. Good morning, everybody. I cannot get my backup phone to charge. Why is that? We were a little frantic getting the show started today, so things aren't set up properly. We got Jesse in the producer's chair. Can you say hi, Jesse? Can the people hear you?
Yo, what's up, guys?
Hello, Jesse. Got Raven doing timestamps. Got the whole team today. And then I am going to get the backup account in the corner, but I'm going to take a moment and switch back to the other backup account, Oskar Quentin Music, because that one doesn't have enough followers. If you're not following the backup account, it'll appear in the corner of the screen over here on TikTok in just a second, and you should get following, because that is where the show is going to be hosted. If this account gets the ban... let's get the multi-guest request queue open.
That was quick.
What's quick?
Oh, there's someone in it.
There is somebody in it, but where did it go? Oh, it's me. There was somebody in it. They left. But there's the backup account. Get following on there. Click on that one. Linktree in the bio if you want to find that elsewhere. All the backup accounts are in the Linktree in the bio. There will be more backup accounts coming soon because we're going to need to make some burner accounts to... handle all the phone calls. Kronos for $2 on YouTube Super Chat says, "Hi, Jesse."
Hi, Kronos.
And I think I actually had a bigger donation coming overnight that I should read out because somebody sent me $50 on Cash App. Who was it? Chris sent me $50 on Cash App and said, "Wish I could pay more, but thank you, Oscar." That's a lot, Chris. I appreciate you. Jesse costs money. Raven costs money. The new gear costs money. Trying to spend the donations in a way that honors the people who sent them. So yeah, thank you very much for the donation. Without further ado, do we have callers? No, we don't have callers. Yeah, let's talk about the First Amendment. I spent a lot of time arguing with people on this platform about whether or not it's okay for Trump to try to do the things that he's trying to do. And they will point out ways in which sometimes the Supreme Court curtails him or whatever thing he's trying to do maybe doesn't work. And I still just think it's very concerning when you have this many attempts to subvert the Constitution. I talk about that all the time on the show. Regular viewers know all these different arguments that I have, and I talk a lot about the First Amendment. I've talked about ICE protesters here in Minneapolis being indicted. I've talked about the extraordinarily long sentences that people have gotten for the same thing in Texas for being associated with a person who did commit a pretty serious crime. But again, when in the Texas case, we had somebody fire on officers, which is bad, but they arrested everybody that person knew. Does that happen when somebody gets killed on the street corner in a bad neighborhood? Do they just go arrest everybody that they know and give them all 30 to 100-year sentences to crash down on it? No, that's not how law enforcement is generally done in this country. So it just really shows that the justice system is being weaponized in some kind of way against people that Trump doesn't like. And now we're seeing subpoenas of New York Times journalists. So I might have some more details on that later on, but we are going to talk to Mitch because I like to get the show running right away if we have the opportunity. So we're going to see if Mitch is a good caller to start the show off today. Mitch, how old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born?
2008, June 5th.
I believe you. You're a Trump supporter?
No, I just want to say I love what you're doing. Fuck ICE, and the Knicks are going back in 2, baby.
W's in the chat for Mitch. But if you are in disagreement with me about any of this stuff, do get in that request queue because I'd like to talk to you. Good morning, Scout. Are you going to come make a mess? Scout has already decided to scratch up this nice new desk pad that I just bought. I might have to get the spray that discourages cats from doing that if I get another one. We'll see. I say a lot on this show that the midterms are important because I think that a lot of people are going to go to prison if the Republicans maintain control of the House and the Senate in the midterms. I'm grievously concerned about that, because what we see right now is that there's an ever escalating effort to quell people like me who are just speaking honestly about this. The fact that organizers are getting scared to organize because they're arresting organizers. We don't want to get to a place where journalists are afraid to be journalists because they've arrested journalists. And I think that that's what we're going to see with subpoenas of New York Times journalists and things like that. But I don't know. Maybe we'll argue with Average Guy about it. Average Guy's usually a pretty confrontational caller. Remind me how old you are, Average Guy?
What's up, 26?
26. What do you want to talk about today?
I guess the background. How does he hate he hates the Bill of Rights? Can you elaborate on that? I just joined.
Yeah, I mean, the Bill of Rights features some amendment rights that people in this country are supposed to have. Donald Trump doesn't like people having those rights. He's constantly attacking things like the First Amendment, going after journalists, saying it should be illegal for people to report poorly on him. The Pentagon is talking about taking away press credentials from people out of concern for national security, but it seems like a pretty blatant attempt to just get reporters away from Trump and away from all the stuff that they're actually supposed to be reporting on. They say it's the most transparent administration ever, but no. I mean, that's just the First Amendment. We could talk about the fact that he's gone after the Second Amendment by trying to take firearms away from trans individuals. We could talk about the Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, which are frequently violated by ICE in ways that he defends. We could talk about the 10th Amendment, which covers states' rights, and he's constantly trying to overreach his federal executive authority over the states by threatening them in roundabout ways to obey him because there's no legal mechanism for him to order them to do certain things because of the 10th Amendment. There's the 14th Amendment, which he tried to overturn with Executive Order 14160. Thankfully, the Supreme Court shot that down recently. But, there's just a lot of attempts by the 14th Amendment doesn't happen to be on the Bill of Rights. But yeah, anyway.
Let's start with you saying Trump said it should be illegal for journalists to report bad publicity on him. I think we both know the context around that claim he made, and it was specifically him saying that it should be illegal for companies using their broadcast licenses to flip stories, like taking a good story and turning it bad.
No, I don't think that was the context. In fact, you're forgetting that there's multiple contexts in which he's said that. He said it in the press room to reporters that what they're doing should be illegal, and more recently he said that reporting negatively on the Iraq war should be illegal.
Well, I mean, if you look at we can all agree that the vast majority of press on Donald Trump is extremely negative. It has a bias. You could have the exact same story from multiple media outlets that reported in different ways.
What does that have to do with the First Amendment?
Depending on how they want to sway their audience. And
I'm sorry. So are you suggesting that it should be illegal for Fox News to do what they're doing? Pardon my dog barking. Yeah, I think my producer's going to have to take her for a walk. We just had her out. Sorry about that. Yeah, are you suggesting that it should be illegal for Fox News to do what they're doing?
Well, we do have propaganda laws. So if he wants to go to court and claim, because what he's really saying is that this is propaganda. So if he wants to go to court, and it can come from any news organization. Mm-hmm. It doesn't specifically have to be limited to Fox. Okay. I think the problem is, though, you're seeing mainstream media heavily leans on a certain bias when they report on things. I think they have lawyers. I think they have reviewers that review every single story that goes out to
reviewers. Where at Fox News? What are you talking about? I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted, but I don't know what you're saying about your opinions about what certain news agencies are reporting on should mean that they are or are not allowed to report. Like, I'm not really getting at what it is you're trying to defend.
I'm going to get there. So, for example, if Trump says that if Trump has an opinion that it's bullshit that say 95% of mainstream media coverage on him is biased and negative, then he has the right to have that. That doesn't mean that he's, rounding up and prosecuting these journalists. His opinion
is one thing. You're right about that. But for him to say that reporting should be illegal is not okay.
Well, I mean, we'd have to go down the aisle and start talking about what each instance that he's upset with. Does this actually break any laws? Like, I know you're going to be heavily biased towards
right.
thinking that
You can talk about bias all day. We can talk about bias all day. Is bias illegal? That's the question. We're talking about him wanting to make it illegal for people to report in the way that they report, even if that reporting is accurate. I don't care what you think
bias, extreme bias can be illegal if it's biased to the point where it's labeled as propaganda. Yeah.
Okay. You keep saying I don't think we have propaganda laws. We have libel laws. We have slander laws. And every time Trump sues people for these sorts of things, he has a really poor record of not letting those cases go through, because when people say things that he calls slander, like that he's a rapist, he tends to get those cases thrown out because he is a rapist. It's okay to call Trump a rapist. Judges have ruled on that. You're allowed to say that he's a rapist because he was found civilly liable of doing a thing that most people consider to be rape, regardless of what the laws in New York were at the time. For example,
what was the outcome of the? I believe it was ABC had to pay a $15 million settlement.
George Stephanopoulos he said on air that he was found civilly liable of rape, which as a matter of fact, I just pointed out isn't true, because what he was found civilly liable of was a sexual abuse that most people consider to be a rape and that most legal jurisdictions consider to be a rape, which is why the judges have ruled with the people that say he's a rapist. But it is not accurate to say that he was found civilly liable of rape. So congratulations, you found the one rule-proving exception that demonstrates that you have to be careful about how you talk about this stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
But all the other people,
they have lawyers and reviewers that look at every story that comes out.
Stop. All the other lawsuits where somebody says Donald Trump's a rapist, including E. Jean Carroll herself, those suits get thrown out because it is accurate to say, it is as the judge ruled. The judge's quote was that it is a substantially true thing to say that Donald Trump is a rapist, and he's still going after these people legally.
That's really stretching the definition of something. So was it proven that he's a rapist?
I'm sorry. Do you think that the thing that he was found civilly liable of doing was a good or bad thing for a person to do?
I think what he was accused of is bad, objectively.
Okay. If I put my fingers inside you without your permission, would you be upset with somebody saying that I had raped you, or would you not be okay with that language?
I'm fine going down this road.
Yeah, we're getting away from the free speech thing.
No,
I'm fine getting to this. We can get to this.
What's the difference? Well, hold on.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
You opened the can of worms. What's the difference?
I'm acknowledging that we're going that direction and saying we can. So once again, I will just ask, if I put my fingers inside you without your permission, would it be appropriate to say that I had raped you?
If you were proven to have done that beyond reasonable doubt, then yeah. That's not the case.
That wasn't my question. My question is, if I did it.
Well, that's important. That's why we send people to jail for these things.
You're making the question about more things than it need to be. It doesn't matter if nobody saw. If the tree fell in the forest, it still fell.
Crime, it needs to be
shut up and listen. I am aware of the.
No,
stop. I'm not allowing you to speak. I don't use the mute button on my show. You're getting away from the exact nature of my question. In my little hypothetical here, you are God. I don't care what happens in a courtroom. I don't care if there are witnesses. I don't care if there are cameras. If I put my fingers inside you without your permission, God watching, does God know that I'm a rapist?
Yes.
Okay, so if Donald Trump did put his fingers inside of E. Jean Carroll without her permission, does that make him a rapist?
If it was proven in court, yeah.
No. Why? God watching. If God is watching when he does it.
Let me ask you, why is it that...
Stop. You did the thing again, and I'm just going to keep drilling it because you acknowledge that if I put
we'll get there eventually.
We'll get there eventually if you shut it. No, Nope, because now we're far enough away from the question that you're comfortable saying yes, so I'm going to restate it and insist that you answer directly, because a second ago, you said that if God watched me put my fingers inside you without permission, that makes me a rapist. And then I asked the question directly after, if God was watching... I don't believe in God, by the way. I'm just using him as Laplace's demon in this example. If God is watching when Donald Trump puts his fingers in E. Jean Carroll without her permission, does that make him a rapist?
Yes.
Okay, so you do recognize that if that's a thing that he did, that makes him a rapist. We have that.
That would make him a rapist.
Right, yeah. And I do recognize, I'm aware of the fact that the statute of limitations was up, so they weren't able to pursue a criminal trial. Do you recognize that if there had not been a statute of limitations that was up, they would have pursued a criminal trial?
I don't think they would have.
Why not?
There's absolutely no way they would have been able to prove this crime beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm going to cut you off mid-sentence?
Because I know you very well and I know how disingenuous you are, so I'm going to respond directly to what you just said.
I'm disingenuous, but you're cutting me off right in the middle of my sentence.
What is this? What was that? Does anybody know what that... Sorry, average guy, I muted you while that was happening. What was that? Oh, it's a new gift thing? Thanks. That was very disruptive. Don't do that, even if it's a gift. What the fuck was it? Average guy, you can unmute. I have no idea what that was. It was a gift? That was so loud. I have to... Oh, is that why everybody has gifts turn off? How do I turn it off? Let's fix that. Yeah, that's very disruptive. I don't know. We'll see if it happens again.
Okay.
You have to turn off gifts in settings. Yeah, Raven, I see you calling me. Is it settings here? Sorry, we're gonna have to deal with that. I don't know. Somebody send me direct instructions on how to deal with that on Discord. I don't want to answer the phone on the air. Where were we? Bring me back. Sorry.
Yeah. So if you there's so many ways to go with this, but I think to be able to call someone a rapist.
All right. I remember where we were. You said, right. I interrupted you because you said that there wouldn't have been a criminal attempt to get the charges and get him convicted. But there's this really important thing that happened in the civil litigation, which is that Donald Trump was requested to provide his DNA so that he could prove it wasn't on the dress that E. Jean Carroll provided and said that it was on. And Donald Trump did two very interesting things. One of them is that he refused, which it was technically his right to do, but I think it was very suspicious for him to do, especially in consideration of the fact that he was running for public office.
He later offered.
Yeah, after it was too late for it to make a difference on the outcome. How fucking convenient. That's exactly like him saying that everybody should release the Epstein files after it was already...
Not everyone can just request the president's DNA.
Right, but I still can judge the president for not convincing the public that he was innocent by providing it, especially in consideration of the fact that he started a rumor,
At the time that she asked, the percentage win rate of that case was extremely low. Therefore, according to his legal team, Trump's own legal team, it made no sense for the president to give up his DNA when the chance of them winning that case was extremely low. Later on, she obviously got higher and higher percentage chances when Trump made mistakes.
My point. Broadly,
but hold on.
I was going to bring up my second.
You know the jury actually
I'm not done talking. No, dude, I'm not. Like, I'm gonna educate the audience so that they can tell exactly how disingenuous you are, because it's obvious that you're educated about the case enough to know these sorts of things. So you probably are also aware that the rumor that the dress that she provided hadn't been released until after the alleged crime is just a rumor that sources back to him himself.
I never said anything about that.
I'm bringing it up now and suggesting you are probably aware of it. You can tell me that you're not, but I am telling everybody that the rumor that the dress hadn't been released at the time the crime was allegedly committed is a rumor that Donald Trump started on Truth Social. That is the earliest mention of it you can find. He said that the designer of the dress came out and said that. There is no evidence that the designer of the dress ever said that. And if there had been a criminal trial, if the statute of limitations hadn't been up, they wouldn't have requested the DNA. They would have just subpoenaed for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bringing up any rumors. Honestly, I'm not really sure what rumor you're talking about.
Let's review. Let's review the fact that you recognize that if he did do the thing he was accused of doing, that makes him a rapist. You recognize that he was found civilly liable of doing that thing, right?
No, he was not found civilly liable of rape. That's what you're trying to stop me.
Shut up. He was found civilly liable of putting his fingers inside of her without her permission, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and earlier you said that if I put my fingers inside of you without your permission, it would be fair to call me a rapist, right?
Okay, sure.
And then you dragged your heels while we made the same statement true about Trump, and then here we are, you acting like because you're acting like a fucking goldfish that doesn't remember 5 minutes ago in this conversation when we covered this stuff. Like the fact that you can't just use the fucking distributive property to make A equals B and then B equals C, and then 3 minutes you're like, okay, that all makes sense, and then 3 minutes later, here you are going, wait, hold on, A and C aren't the same thing. Why do we have to restart every single time your attention span elapses? You're the type of caller who's going to go into another call and never acknowledge that what he did is acceptable to call rape. You're going to start that over every single time it comes up, even though you have just conceded that that is a fair thing to say. You've already done it in this call. You're going to do it the next time you have a call. Why should I keep you on my show?
Yeah, well, you want me to elaborate? Let's see how many words I get out. So, like, my definition, your definition, whatever I accept on this live stream in order to further the conversation is different from what actually classifies grape. Like I could say our subjective definitions don't matter. Like, for example, if you sound like you're up to date with the court case, was the jury
I'm sorry, I need you to answer my question.
Was the jury asked?
No. Because of the way that you're engaging.
You don't want to answer that.
Because of the way that you're interacting with this information.
Here's where we start getting away.
Specifically, my question was, given that we already established A equals B and B equals C, therefore A equals C, we can say that what Trump was found civilly liable of was rape. And then a couple minutes later, you like forgot that and we had to cover it again. Given that that's the way that you talk about this, why are you on my show? Why should I give you airtime? Why should I respect your side of this conversation? Why should I give you the grace? Why should I give you the airtime if that's the way you talk about this stuff?
Because I accept your definition, just to get to my point, does not make that him classified as a rapist. So there's two ways that I was going to go about that.
No. I'm stopping you.
I've answered every one of your questions.
A moment ago, you admitted that it was fair to call him a rapist, and then just now again, you've said it's not. Like, I'm not going to play this fucking game of whack-a-mole. I don't care. I'm not interested in doing it. I do it every fucking day. I've done it with you before. I've done it on this topic so many fucking times. There's hours of me doing it on my show. I'm not going to sit here and have to repeat 2 bullet points ago every single time you fucking forget it, because then we never get anywhere. We never get to the 10th bullet point if you forget the first by the time we get to the 3rd or 4th. And it makes it not worth my time to have you on my show. That's the question. That's what I'm interested in. Forget E.G. and Carroll. Because you behave that way, why should I keep you on my show? That's the question.
You're not even letting me actually explain. I know why you're confused. It's because you don't actually know my claim. You don't actually understand my stance.
We're not currently talking about your claim. We're talking about the way. We're talking about the way that you interact with the things that we've already covered. It's not
this was 100% proven, but that's the problem. Is it wasn't. So that's why I'm saying you said if God knew everything, I'm going to keep talking over you because
we didn't keep it to God and Laplace's demon when we got there. I said, was he found civilly liable of doing something that you yourself consider to be rape? That's the claim that I made. And then you went back to saying that it wasn't proven.
But it wasn't proven, which is my problem. That's my contention.
But that wasn't the question. The question was he found civilly liable of it?
He was.
Right.
But in order to call him a rapist, you should be proven for the crime that you're actually...
No, you are making that up. The judges disagree with you. The legal system disagrees with you. The Supreme Court disagrees with you. And you're doing the same thing again. We're goldfishing back. Turn your camera on. You're not going to be allowed to stay on my show regardless of whether or not the audience wants you.
That's...
Camera.
That's how you get away from this?
I don't take... No, that's how you get away from
a single question.
That is how you get away from this.
Your stance is so strong,
or you are banned from my show, average guy.
You can ban me. That's fine. I don't care. You won't answer a single question. That's because your stance is weak. I answered all yours. Every single one.
Turn your camera on and I'll answer all your questions. Turn your camera on and you can have control of the show for 5 minutes.
Not doxing myself. Because your stance is weak, that's why you're trying to give me that ultimatum, because you have the power.
Your camera's off because you are weak. Average guy is banned from the Oskar Quentin show for being a fucking coward. Everybody, link tree in the bio if you want to support the show. Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Buy Me a Coffee is international for the international folks. Christy, thank you very much for the $50. Christy sent me $50 on Venmo and said, please host a MAGA Friends and Family Day. Your supporters can convince their MAGA family friends to call in with you, and you can help them talk some sense into them. Yeah, I would love that. I actually am like kind of super duper into that idea. Let us see. Somebody sent me a galaxy. I'd like to thank them. So where is that? Where was it? Emily. Thank you very much, Emily. I appreciate you. You can also get the show on YouTube if that's not where you're watching it right now. You can see it after the fact in like podcast form. Average guy's a long-term troll. He's been calling into the show a lot, but like, fuck these regular guys who go around like doxing yourself. You're gonna dox yourself? Like, oh no, how doxed I am. Like, I don't believe that he actually thinks that way. I think he has fun calling in and leveraging these disingenuous debate tactics because he doesn't care about women. I think he's doing it for entertainment. I don't even think the guy cares about Trump. I'm not convinced he cares about Trump. If he cared about Trump, he'd probably have better arguments for him, but I just don't actually believe it at all. So yeah, average guy, that's it. No more from you. If you're gonna be so sure that you just can't be on the show because I expect you. Live visibility restricted. We're going to do that restart in just a minute. What did I say? I don't even know. Anyway, thank you, Hayden, for the $2. I saw that overnight. And Lucky Phil, give this caller the 5-figure discount. LOL. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate you. And then another $5 came in on Venmo from Tammy. Tammy said... he's being a dick. The law in New York was specific that if he didn't use his penis to violate her, it can't be considered rape. That's the only reason they had to go with SA. They have since changed the law. Yeah, I've said that on the show a million times. I've probably said that to him, and I do think that we have to restart. Check that gift setting when you restart in the morning from JGeek. Thank you, Discord, for figuring that out for me. Apparently, there's some new gift thing on TikTok that allows people to disturb the show in the way that they did earlier. So if you're watching this on TikTok, do make sure that you are following me here. If you're one of the people in the chat that's mad at me, come on, follow us over to the new stream and get in the queue. I do see Invisible, Carlos, Tim, and then IowaGolfer is also in the queue. The 4 of you can hop right back in the queue after we restart. We're only going to be offline for like just a second. And thank you, Cronus, for the $5. You said back from lunch, so I'm off to listening mode. Can't keep on modding, unfortunately. W's in the chat for Cronus for all his modding efforts. He's a regular donor and contributes a lot to the chat on YouTube. There's 500 of you watching on TikTok. I expect you all to be back here in about 10 seconds. See you soon. Trump almost definitely raped a bunch of kids with Epstein. I can't really say that on TikTok, but we're not on TikTok right now. Seriously, though. Probably raped a bunch of kids. Okay, wait, hold on. How do I fix... hold gifts? What do I do? Custom... How do I turn off gifts? Quick poll. No, I don't want that. Multi-guest, live goal, partnerships, fan club, live events, gift gallery. I don't know. I feel like I'm just gonna have to risk it. I can't figure it out. Nope, I don't want to be offline for this long because we're gonna lose the viewership. We're gonna raw dog it. Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. How's everybody doing over on YouTube chat? Oh. Yeah. Gotta figure out that gift thing. I did not figure out the gift thing, so maybe I shouldn't announce that. I'm not gonna say anything while the people on TikTok come back in. We back. We're just gonna pretend that I fixed it. Oh, and I should get the backup account back in there. Well, yeah, so I don't think people heard it because she's not mic'd, but Jesse just conferred with Raven and says that they don't think that I should turn off gifts. I think what they're doing, I saw it on Dean's stream. I think, like, I clicked on the profile to try to get to their profile. I think they're just turning off gifts for the caller is maybe, like, the solution. But I don't know. We'll see. I feel like if it's that disruptive, TikTok's just going to fix it. That was what happened with the bleeping. Like, the bleeping thing became a thing, and then it just, like, went away after a week. I never did anything about it. Because it was just that disruptive. Let's get the backup account in. There it is. Sorry for the noise, everybody. That backup account phone is noisy. Yeah, Oskar Quentin music in the corner if you want to follow that. But we're going to talk to Invisible, and we're going to see if we can see their argument for Trump. Hello, how old are you?
27.
Do you support Trump?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because he doesn't think women can have penises.
Okay. Why is that so important to you?
Because I believe that there are two genders.
Cool. Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, because I don't want men putting in women's sports.
Why not? Why is that so important to you?
Because females should have separate sports, places that exclude men.
Okay. And that's the only thing you consider when selecting a president? That seems kind of silly.
And the fact that he wants to deport illegal immigrants.
Okay, wait, hold on. So is it which is more important to you?
Deporting illegal immigrants.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Why should we deport illegal immigrants?
Because they don't have any reason to be here.
Okay. I don't think that you have any reason to be here. Should you be deported?
I'm a U.S. citizen.
Oh, okay. I don't value that reason enough. I think you should be deported.
Oh, you don't believe in birthright citizenship?
I do, actually. I'm being a little bit disingenuous. I'm just pointing out that I don't really understand why you think we should deport illegal immigrants. Who benefits from doing that?
It's the principle of upholding the law.
Do you think that the principle of upholding the law is more important than what's right or wrong morally?
Yeah.
Okay, so I should be in prison because I, consumed a lot of the M substance before it was made legal in the place that I live. It also is still federally not legal where I live, so I should go to jail?
Wait, the M? Are you talking about...
Don't say it. Don't say it. TikTok doesn't let us say it, but, I'm a musician. I like to sit on the couch.
Green stuff?
The green stuff, yeah. I'm talking about the green stuff.
What about it?
Well, you said that the principles are so important. I should go to jail because I still use the green stuff even though it's federally illegal. And I did use it before it was legal at the state level where I live, right?
It's federally illegal, and it's legal in your state. So yeah, you can use it.
Right, but I should go to jail because I broke the law, right?
When? Years ago?
Yeah.
No, I couldn't prove that, so...
Okay, well, I just confessed.
Okay, but people can lie, so.
Do you think I'm okay? Let's propose hypothetically that you saw me do it.
Okay, a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If the state wants to prosecute you, then yeah.
I'm sorry, but we're talking about what you want, because you want the illegal immigrants deported out of principle. I think that's silly. I think that's inhumane. I think that's irresponsible. I think that's unpatriotic, as a matter of fact. We could get into that.
Unpatriotic?
Because I think that it's more patriotic to do things that defend the rights of the people who have residency in this country and propose like
What do you mean by residency?
Yeah, I was clear there because I can recognize that it is more important that we protect people who like have legal residency here than those that don't. I do just still think it's better for the people who live here if we aren't terrible to the people who don't have legal residency. And because I'm a humanitarian who just also values human rights, which are things that are also defended in the Constitution, I do worry about the safety and prosperity of those people. So yeah, I have some reasons for why I think that they shouldn't be deported, but you want them deported, and you say it's out of principle because the laws have to be followed. But that makes very little sense to me. You don't seem to want me to go to prison for having violated the laws.
That we should be following the laws in this country.
Well, like for example, it was just a few years ago that consuming the green stuff became legal where I live, but I was still doing it before that. So do you think they should have put me in jail back then?
Yeah, if you were breaking the law.
Really? That's fucked up. We changed the law because it was bad.
Okay, then now no. If the law changed.
Okay, so I think we should do the same thing with the illegal immigrants. I think we should change some of the laws and forgive all those people who were breaking the law when the laws were unfair.
Okay.
That's what I think we should do instead of deporting all of them, because when I ask the question, who benefits from deporting all the illegal immigrants, nobody's ever been able to give me an answer that I'm convinced makes any sense.
So then going forward, if you do get that law changed where people who are illegal are now granted amnesty, then do you think going forward people can still cross the border illegally? And
no, it's a two-pronged system. We got to deal with the people who are already here. We're talking about that separately. We haven't talked about this yet. I do think we need massive reform and a pretty good deal of investment in the immigration system to make it more robust so that far fewer people immigrate illegally going forward.
I think we can agree on that, but I don't think immigration is essential to the United States.
Hold on. Do you agree? Are you agreeing with one of the two prongs of my approach? Because
I'm agreeing with immigration needs some sort of reform. Yes.
Okay.
Immigration policies and laws.
Yeah, I don't think we probably agree about what those reforms should be, but broadly, I want to keep getting back to this question: who benefits from deporting the illegal immigrants who are already here?
The American people.
In what way?
Yeah, the millions that are here that are depressing wages, that are taking up housing, that could cause.
But they contribute. But prices. they have an effect on those markets, on the jobs market and on the housing market. But every analysis I have ever seen that wasn't made up and based on bullshit, because there are some I've seen that have been made up and based on some obvious bullshit that I've been able to dig and refute. But all the ones that like stand up to the same muster that we apply to like research papers and stuff like that, they all tell me the same thing, which is that they have a net benefit effect on the jobs market and that they have a net benefit effect on the housing market, because it is worth pointing out that illegal immigrants build a lot of homes in this country.
That is true, that if they're in, I guess, construction, that they would be partaking in home building.
So if you only look at the effect that they have on the demand for houses, you're right, they increase the demand for homes, but they also increase the supply for homes. It's very similar with the way they affect the jobs market, because do
you think illegal immigrants are getting proper treatment with their current jobs?
No, I think they should get better treatment. I would like for them to be given legal residency, and that would increase the cost of their wages. I recognize that would also increase the amount that they pay in taxes, because the tax participation rate of illegal immigrants is only like 75%. I'd like to get that up closer to 100%, which is something that would happen if we gave them a legal path to citizenship, or at least a legal path to residency. So again, when it comes to
deport them and give those jobs to Americans.
Right, but what the economists tell me is that the America we'd live in if we did that is a worse one than the one we live in today if we're looking at things like jobs. So it's just a little bit more complicated than you think it is. And I need an argument that convinces me that you're right and all the economists are wrong. I also have
for profit over people.
Sorry, what?
Profit over people.
That's what?
Yeah, because you acknowledge that illegal immigrants and that their jobs that they hold are getting treated probably
I immediately said that I want them to be treated better and be given better labor rights.
Yeah, but so would you rather send them back?
That's people over profits. That's not. What do you mean?
Would you rather send them back so they're not being exploited in America?
No, I would rather keep them here and not exploit them. I think that would be better.
Well, you can't have both.
Yes, I can.
Not right now.
There's lots of things that I want that I can't have. I don't want to live in a police state, but I do. But but I sit here and talk about the things that I want that I can't have. Sorry, what?
You don't live in a police state.
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole. I'm not going to let us get sidetracked on that. There's a bunch of things, like your only argument here is that I can't have it. No. No, I'm saying what would be good.
Well, no, until you do get it, they're pretty much working below minimum wage or being treated like slaves almost.
I would also point out, by the way, that I think that all of the low-level laborers in this country, illegal immigrants and otherwise, a much larger cohort of people, half the country are people who work low-level jobs who I think should get higher wages, should get better cost of living adjustments, should get more help from the government. That's a broad, widespread problem that illegal immigrants represent a very small percentage of, and they are getting.
Why would you want to add to it?
Why would I want to add to it?
Because why would you want to take care of the American citizens first and deal with those immigrants later?
Because if America had done that since the beginning, we'd be a much smaller, less successful country. It's good for America to bring immigrants in. This aversion to allowing immigrants to participate in our economy is xenophobic and racist and not based in any actual concern for our economic prosperity. Because if you had any actual concern for our economic prosperity, you'd take these numbers very seriously. You'd take these reports very seriously. You'd take the economists very seriously. And you'd consider the fact that if we look at what's happening in America right now, we're getting to a point in prosperity where our birth rate is lowering, and every major country, like every developed country that gets that sort of prosperity has the birth rate go down. It's one of the most reliable socioeconomic effects of prosperity on a society, and the world over, the countries that replace that lower birth rate with immigration do better, because you don't end up with a top-heavy age histogram where you have a bunch of aging people who are coming out of the workforce or becoming less beneficial to the economy through physical labor or potentially requiring care as they get much older. Japan's having a huge problem with that right now, despite their prosperity. So we can look at countries and say, okay, we're a prosperous nation. We have this problem that prosperous nations run into. Every country that fixes it with immigration is doing better than the ones that don't. We should be one of the ones that fixes it with immigration instead of spending a bunch of taxpayer money deporting the people who grow our food.
Yeah, do you think the prosperity of our country, as you mentioned, if you view the United States as prosperous, do you think that prosperity reflects to the average citizen?
I don't think you answered anything I just said. I think my I saw it on the chat or the Discord or somewhere. I think you're off script and that has you nervous. I don't think you like this area of conversation.
I'm not reading anything.
I don't think you're reading a physical script. I think that you have a particular line of dialogue that you like with this, and I've taken you off of that particular line of dialogue. Tabby sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to point out, read up on your U.S. history, caller. The U.S. has always relied on immigration. I brought that up a second ago. I brought up that not only is this what's happening across the world with developed nations, it's also the system that we have been using for hundreds of years to bolster our need for labor as we industrialized in the Industrial Revolution after the Reformation era or the Reconstruction era. So again, you're not answering to that. Why do you think immigration's bad?
Because I don't think we need immigrants. I think that we can sustain
You just reckon we don't need them? You just reckon that everything that I just said is nonsense and irrelevant? You just reckon that I'm wrong?
I think through cultural shifts in the United States, we can lower our dependency on... Yeah, we can lower our dependence on needing
cultural shifts. What do you mean by cultural shifts?
Not having women in the workforce.
Camera on.
Why?
When people start talking about cultural shifts when it comes to illegal immigration, pardon my dog barking. I don't know what's got there.
Why can't you finish my point?
Sorry, what? We're at a point in the conversation where as supreme leader of this show, I'm demanding that you turn your camera on if you want to proceed.
Yeah,
pardon my dog, she's losing her mind.
We need immigration and how it can be
camera
solved.
on.
Fuck you, four-eyed fuck.
You gonna slur and run? That's it.
That's not a slur.
Well, I mean, I'm asking if you're going to slur and run. I'm just saying, you're calling me a four-eyed fuck with your camera off. I think that's cowardly. How many eyes do you have?
You don't even let me finish what I was trying to say.
Camera on. You can finish what you're gonna say.
You want something that you hear. Camera on.
You can finish. You can finish what you're gonna say after you turn your camera on.
You're in your mom's house. Move out.
Camera on, dude. You think you look good in this conversation? It's ridiculous.
You wouldn't even let me finish.
I'll let you finish after you turn your camera on.
Because I bring women not being a part of the workforce.
Fucking hilarious, dude. Say whatever you want about my appearance and my prosperity or whatever the fuck. I don't give a fucking shit. You think you're gonna bother me? I sit on the internet for 2 hours a day and talk to assholes like you. Which of us do you think has the thicker skin? The guy with his camera on or the guy who's afraid of turning his camera on?
I don't want to turn on my camera.
Why not?
Because I'm on a computer. I don't have a camera.
You're not on your computer. You can't join as a guest from a computer. You're on a phone, you liar.
Oh. Well, yeah, I just want to turn it on.
Yeah, well, so why did you lie a second ago to get out of it? Are you afraid of people knowing the real reason why you don't want to turn on your camera? Because your beliefs are fucking reprehensible? And you're afraid of people knowing what you're...
Finish what I was saying.
I'll let you finish what you were saying after you turn your camera on.
No, I'm good.
Why?
Because I don't want to.
Why not? You lied to me a second ago about why not. You said you couldn't because you were on a computer, but it's a lie because you have to be on a phone to join as a guest on TikTok Live.
Lying or turning on a camera. Being on a computer, what do you do?
Whoop-de-doo. I've correctly clocked that you are a coward and a liar.
I'm not a coward.
Yes, you are. If you weren't, you'd turn on your camera. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of the consequences of turning on your camera? I think that makes you a coward.
Why would I be scared?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. Why are you scared to turn on your camera?
I haven't said anything that's racist.
Great. Turn on your camera and then nobody will think you're a racist and we can continue the conversation.
No, because people on the left like you twist words and...
They're your words. You know, the context is there. I'm not going to like clip you out of context. The show is live on YouTube right now. You can scrub through it. It's going to be uploaded as a VOD in this afternoon. Like it's all going to be there for people to see. You'll be able to defend yourself. Why don't you turn your camera on?
No, I'm good. So you can just kick me. I don't care.
You see that people aren't going to take any of your arguments seriously if you exercise this type of cowardice?
What do you mean?
Like I don't believe you. I don't think any of this is important to you. I think you're here to have fun and troll, and that's why you won't turn on your camera because I don't think
I'm not trolling.
Yeah, but I believe you. I believe you when you tell me that if you turned your camera on. But
I was about to explain.
No, I'm not going to talk over you. If you're going to tell me what you're about to explain, I'm just going to yap over you so people can't hear it because the only thing we're discussing is your unwillingness to turn on your camera.
What does turning on my camera have to do with anything that I argue?
Because you're unwilling to have the things that you argue associated with your face.
Yeah, but so when you listen to a radio show, do you not take their argument seriously because you can see them?
You can probably look up who's on the radio show and find a picture of their face. Nobody can look up the word invisible on Google and find a picture of your face unless you turn your camera on now.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, you can keep saying, nah, I'm good, but you do realize that, like, if you ever want to call into my show again, you've got about 30 seconds to turn your camera on, because I am... Congratulations, you'll be back on different accounts. Like, is that a flex? Like, you're so cowardly that you haven't... Yeah, I will block you, dude. I am gonna fucking block you. Come back on another account and we'll block that fucking account because the mods will recognize your voice and they'll say this is the guy who wouldn't turn on his camera. And then we'll get you blocked. I'm just not fucking doing it anymore. It's such a fucking waste of my time to talk to people who aren't gonna stand by what they have to say. It's absolutely fucking absurd. Very sorry for my dog. She's a... When I started running the show, I was like, my dog's gonna be a huge problem. But she just hasn't been. For like 100 days, but now that I have the in-house producer, she gets like worked up sometimes. We're working on it. She's an alert dog, so she demand barks and stuff. But the producer is like a friend of mine who's like known her for a long time, which is why she's dealing with her instead of me. But she's not in the room right now. Anyway, very sorry for the dog barking. I try to talk over it a little bit so that the compression doesn't boost the dog barking in everybody's ears as much. Anyway, Tavi had a question for Average Guy before I banned him. Average, would you go through this nuance if the same thing happened to a woman in your life? I don't think he would have. I already read Kronos. I already read Tavi's second one. Katie sent $5 to say, notice wages are blamed on immigrants, not billionaires. Thank Reagan, caller. Yeah, I was trying to broaden it to the fact that fucking wages are terrible for everybody. Like, why are we talking about illegal immigrants? Crazy. Katie Myers sent $5 to say, racist and misogynistic, not surprised. Women and minorities are human too. He doesn't think so. And Miss Olivia Page sent me $5 to say, LOL, Scout has a sixth sense for jerks. I'm convinced every time she starts barking like that, crazy, the caller must be racist. Love the pod and team. I have wondered that if, like, when I actually personally get offended, if she barks more. By the way, the dog is Noodle. Scout is my kitty, who is not this kitty over here. That's Suki. And then I have Merlin. I got lots of animals. Anyway, what a bunch of fucking cowards. Holy shit. Who was the last donation? I don't think I read Amy. Amy said, coffee for $10. Thank you, Amy. That's on Venmo. Shelby sent me $2 to say, Breaking news this morning, Agent Carroll is finally getting paid the $5.6 million judgment from the civil case against Trump. Hell yeah, that's sick. That's good news. Shelby sent another $2 to add. FYI, there's another Oskar Quentin on Venmo with the username Oscar-Quentin. Wasn't sure if that was you or a sham account. That is also me. Don't worry about it. Sometimes the donations go to the other account, but that's fine. I am in control of both of those. So do appreciate you looking out for me, but that's fine. Because that's not the one in the Linktree in my bio, but I did plant both. Oskar Quentin and Oscar-Quentin are both my Venmo accounts. Guest caught lying for $5. David Collins. Yeah, caught him. The first time that lie got brought to the show, I wasn't aware, and then somebody pointed out to me later, you can only join as a guest from a phone, which is why I have to buy a phone, a new iPhone, to get the phone number call-ins to pass through a dummy account in the corner, because there's no way to do it with a computer. You need a phone to do it. Nicholas sent $5 to say, Invisible watched Fox News exactly once and got his brain scrambled. Poor guy. I hope you get out and experience the real world one day. I agree. That would be good for him. Let's hop over to Cash App. Don't think there's anything new on Cash App. I usually peep the notifications for those, and nothing new over on Buy Me a Coffee. Pat in the chat says, for $5, caller arguing with an empty chest. Yeah, absolutely. I only see one friendly in the queue, so I'll do the thing I have to do when the queue is empty, which is tell everybody on TikTok to get double tapping away on the screen so we can get some more callers in here. Yeah, we got one. We got Kylie. K-I-L-E-E. Oh, no, they're gone. We got K6_Joe with some kind of symbol for O. I don't know. Hopefully we get a meaningful debate with somebody who's not a total fucking coward if they want to talk about misogynistic or xenophobic principles. Nope, they're gone. Maybe they didn't mean to join. That's fine. Honest question, what's the purpose of the dummy account? Well, so like this account down here is just like the backup account, so that if this account that you're watching this through gets banned, I'll just run the show from this or my other backup account, Oskar Quentin 2. So I'm just trying to get the follower counts up on those. The dummy account that I'm talking about, though, is one that I haven't made yet, where I want people to be able to call a phone number to call into the show, because a lot of people refuse to use TikTok, and the show's live on YouTube as well. So I want people outside of the TikTok space to be able to join the show. But the danger is that if somebody calls in and says the N-word, and I have piped the audio in through my interface in my system, TikTok will see it coming from my computer and think that I said the N-word and ban me. So what I'm going to do is use a separate computer to have Google Voice calls handled through a phone, and then that phone, handled through the computer, and then the audio is going to get passed to an iPhone, and then that iPhone will have TikTok on it, and then on that TikTok account, I will join as a guest, so that a person who calls into my show through the phone number joins the stream through a TikTok account that I manage, so that that account gets banned for what the caller says. Fuck that TikTok account, we'll make another one. So that's the idea there. We're just going to have to start farming a bunch of accounts that have like guest privileges. So buying a new iPhone for that. And then I just waited a little longer to buy the iPhone, because I decided, instead of getting the cheapest iPhone capable of it, which would be I just wanted to make sure it was a USB-C iPhone so I could use all of the current gear that I already have. Instead of buying the cheapest iPhone that can do that, which is like a bottom-end iPhone 15, I thought, buy it nicer, buy it twice. I'm doing a thing here. The show's getting pretty successful. My primary phone is a 17 Max Pro. I'm just going to buy another 17 Max Pro so that the production team has two. For when we do outside stuff for the rest of the day. So I'm buying that phone this week, and we're going to try to get that set up. So I'm really, really hoping that we just get like a totally fresh slate of callers, because there's tons of opposition on Instagram and on YouTube who want to call in but refuse to download TikTok. But that leaves me still confused about all the opposition in the chat who refuse to call in. But anyway. Here we go again. We're going to talk to Here We Go Again and see if I say Here We Go Again when they start their argument. If they connect. How old are you?
Hello. I am 37.
37. Are you a Trump supporter?
I'm a recovering Trump supporter right now.
I do like hearing from recovering Trump supporters. Tell me about it.
Well, the main reason I voted for him was he said no new wars. Obviously, that was a complete lie. And it was pretty much last year when he refused to release the Epstein files when I really started changing. That was pretty despicable to me. Mm-hmm. But so right now I'm kind of politically homeless. I don't know.
Well, what are your plans for November?
I'm in New York. It's going to go blue, but
sure.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm very open. I'm changing my mind on a lot of things.
Yeah,
so,
I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like it sounds genuine that you're just kind of open to something else. Because I think there's two problems, right? There's like Trump is really bad. I think Trump is, in addition to not keeping his campaign promises, also just breaking the fucking rules as president. Like if Here, let's assess what type of fence sitter you are. Do you agree that if the people who are in Congress believed in the Constitution more than they believed in Trump, they would impeach him for some of the things that he's done?
Oh, they should impeach him. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So we have a problem that's a little bit bigger than just not liking Trump and him not keeping his campaign promises. We have a problem where the Republican Party is not obeying the Constitution. That's like the...
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay. And that's why I say blue in November. I used to say blue no matter who, but I didn't realize that when people hear that, they think I mean like forever, because that's fucking nonsense. I just mean like, we got a little problem right now in the government, which is that the Republicans aren't following the Constitution. And the way to defeat Republicans is to vote for Democrats. So in the midterms, I'm saying that I haven't been offered a counterexample of a Democrat you shouldn't vote for this reason. Plattner was a good one, but he's dropped out of the race because of his allegations. So yay, he took care of that one for me. I don't have to tell people that Plattner's the exception because he's no longer running. So I still am comfortable saying to people that we should vote for blue candidates in November pretty much across the board. Do you agree with that?
I'm not opposed to that. I'll be honest. I'm very busy. I don't know like my local candidates well enough yet, but I might be voting blue for the first time in my life. I don't know. Like it's such a disaster what I'm seeing now that I'm I guess been having a coming to God moment with it. I honestly don't know where I stand politically. Like I'm unaffiliated. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to voting blue for the first time in my life.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I guess like, it sounds to me like you just recognize that right now it's like Republicans versus the Constitution, which takes a lot of issues and maybe just puts them off the table, right? Like abortion's not important to that consideration. Tax brackets are not important to that consideration. There's a bunch of stuff that the left and the right normally argue about that it, just isn't really like relevant to this problem. But given that you seem so on board with this, like, all right, we need to defeat these like unconstitutional Republicans. Like, how do you, in your life previously, were you just like a more run of the mill Republican until Trump showed up? What's your voting history?
I was completely raised conservative from day one. Like, and then like I've slowly, I did switch on social issues myself. Still voted like red economically. I think like during the Iraq War, I supported that. I was like a 13-year-old at the time. I didn't know anything. I grew up with Fox News, Rush Limbaugh. Mm-hmm. So of course I just pretty much bought the propaganda. When I got older, I realized we were lied into that war. So after that, I pretty much have gone against every president that's done military action, like in the Middle East or anywhere, because it's really not beneficial to us or anyone. It's and that was like the main reason I voted for Trump, because he said no new wars. And his first term, he didn't really. He did do some bombing and stuff in Syria, I remember, and I was against it at the time. But overall, in his first term, he didn't do like a whole lot of military action, which I liked. Sure. But now, obviously, this Iran war has been an absolute disaster. I'm very passionate about being a pacifist now. So, it was really the Epstein files that made me turn on him, and then the Iran war really, like, I'm just absolutely disgusted. So,
yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to hear somebody like you, because you admitted yourself a second ago that you kind of bought the propaganda. Never mind Trump for a second. Like, never mind this constitutional crisis that we have going on. Like, how do you feel just about like liberal policies generally versus conservative ones now that you kind of see the light a little bit?
Socially, I've been liberal for a while now. Like, everyone deserves the same rights. I was actually calling to just kind of go on the immigration thing. I don't agree with the way ICE is doing things, but I heard you debating before, and I wanted to kind of ask you about something about that.
Sure.
I found your show. I like your show, so I don't really call into things, but it was mostly about the wages with the illegal immigrants. I don't see how it would not have a negative effect on wages to have more workers willing to work at the low wages, which everyone has, which you said, and I agree with. Wages should be higher. Mm-hmm. But just adding more people to the system, wouldn't that at least partially keep wages lower?
So you can find like particular types of jobs or different examples where, like, if we were to just like poof, deport all the illegal immigrants overnight, like the wages would go up because the people who hire for those jobs would be really desperate to fill them. And that would be good in a local sense. And I'll use as parallel an argument that I use against the tariffs, because it's a very similar sort of thing where people will say, oh, my local lumberyard is doing so well because Trump tariffed Canadian lumber. This is true of steel mills too, like where you know, we're not using as much Chinese steel because it's so aggressively tariffed that you can find examples of like a company that's doing well, but that doesn't mean that if you zoom out, the American economy is doing better. So it's the same thing with illegal immigrants, where you can like find a guy whose wages will go up if we deport all of the illegal immigrants, but that doesn't mean that wages across the board will go up. That doesn't mean that American companies will be healthier. That doesn't mean that the ratio of wages to cost of living will be corrected in a way that's good for people, because if those wages go up, with them the costs of whatever those companies sell or offer as services will go up. So a more holistic approach says that, yeah, of course, like it's not like every number is going to go up if illegal immigrants stay and get a pathway to citizenship. It's that if we look at a broad view of the economy, it's across the board going to be better if they stay than if they go.
Okay. I mean, I'd have to look into it more. Obviously, this conversation, like I'm going to have to do more research on that. But yeah, I mean, I
just to add one more thing, I would also point out that that's against a background of there being like these 12 million illegal immigrants that we have these labor concerns about. But then there's like 100 to 200 million Americans who I also want better labor practices for. And all of these individual details about like which jobs might have their wages increased or dropped, or all those little effects are a drop in the bucket against what I actually want to happen for the economy in America, and particularly the labor market, the labor rights for working class poor people. So again, it's like it's a problem that would get lost in the tide of progress if we actually accomplished anything for the working man in this country, which to me makes it feel like not a very important thing to look at.
Oh yeah, overall, I got to be with you on that. Overall, like I don't think immigration is the biggest thing. I mean, ask me this a few years ago, I might have said that, but like I honestly think it's just like it's been used to just benefit corporations to keep the cheaper wages. And that's across the board. It's beyond immigration. I just think they're kind of being taken advantage of, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess I will always pull back and say we all are, right? Like,
yeah,
not me anymore. I'm lucky. I get to do this, you know, like I escaped it, but I was being taken advantage of in that way. Very recently.
I mean, I was in the past myself. I mean, I'm all right now. Personally, I'm good, but I'm just seeing things go to absolute hell around the country. And, yeah, I can't be on board with it anymore. Like, I consciously just can't.
W guessed. Unless you have anything else, I appreciate your time.
Oh no, I'm good. Yeah, I know I'm not going to be arguing with you. I probably won't get you the viewers, but
hey, you know what? I like to leverage my viewership to show that minds are changing, and this I feel was a really like pleasant conversation. So I do really thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. You have a good day.
W, here we go again. Not here we go again. That's not what I thought at all when he joined. I thought, how refreshing. We're going to talk to Luna Reviews YouTube. Sounds like it could be a friendly. I don't know.
Oscar, one more time. I do need you to lower the volume of the callers. It's like they're all yelling at me.
You know, this knob is yours. You can come turn this. You can.
Okay.
Hello. How old are you?
How's it going? I'm 25.
25. Are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm not.
Just looking for Trump supporters. How was the call volume on that, Jesse?
Better.
That was better? Okay. We're going to talk to Zach. We're going to see if Zach is a Trump supporter. Nope, he left. So we're going to check in with IowaGolfer. He's a friendly. So we'll just see what's going on with him. Hello, IowaGolfer. How you doing?
I didn't think you meant to bring me up. You can drop me if you need to.
No, we can check in really quick. Nobody else is in the queue. What's up?
Real quick, question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you find that people on the left find the need to personally attack people when they differ on a few things, but they find themselves agreeing with a lot of their views?
I think that people really get to, oh goodness, what is going on with Noodle today? You might have to just sit in the courtyard with her today. Might not have a producer today. I'm sorry, Iowa. Jesse looks so exacerbated. I'm so sorry, Jesse. Noodle.
Number of times Jesse has been up and down the stairs today, approaching 6.
W. Jesse. L. Noodle. She's in a mood today. Yeah, I do think it's an important question, Iowa, because a lot of people I criticize the left all the time. I have to defend the Iowa golfer on other panels and on this show against my own chat sometimes, because just the fact of the matter is that there's a third of this country who supports some really fucked up ideologies, something like that. You can argue about what exactly those percentages are, and that's it just like varies issue to issue. But there's this book called Hitler's Willing Executioners about the fact that like so many Germans were okay with what happened during World War II because maybe it didn't affect them or they bought some propaganda or something like that. And to just say like, oh, fuck them, they were all monsters, like maybe it's like appropriate, maybe that's not like the worst thing to feel, but it's not very constructive. Like, it doesn't really help us from preventing something like what happened in Germany in the 30s and 40s from happening again. We just like have to accept the fact that lots of people have drank the Kool-Aid and lots of people have a bunch of deconstructing they need to do because they've been propagandized in for so many years. And I think that people are so angry, rightfully, about what those people have been convinced, that they're attacking those beliefs instead of recognizing that those individuals are a victim of the beliefs in the same way that somebody like me, like, I'm a 9/11 victim. I'm sick from 9/11. I have a lung ailment because of it. I have nasty asthma from 9/11. And it like affected my family a lot because I grew up there and I was close. But I'm not like personally mad at the guys that flew the planes into the building, because I think that they were children when they were indoctrinated into those beliefs. I'm mad at those beliefs. I'm mad at that belief system. I don't want to unalive people who have those beliefs. I want to change the world so that people stop having those sorts of beliefs. So, Iowa, I've said to you a bunch of times that there's certain beliefs you have that I am upset in that way about, but I don't think that you're the sort of person who can look top down at this and say, I want these hateful ideologies to be spread. I want things to keep getting worse. I don't think you're a hateful person. I think you have some hateful beliefs because of your upbringing, and I want to help you fix that, which is, I think you believe me when I say that, which is why you're willing to have a conversation with me in good faith, even though I have this like goal of changing who you are internally. But that's what I sit here and do. I think it is a great failure of the left to not value what good faith conversation with somebody that you disagree with can be. I know I'm kind of rambling, but that's my perspective on it.
No, you're good. Like I said, that's the only question I have is, but it seems like I start to make, I start to make a little bit of progress, moving myself a little bit more towards the center. I find myself agreeing with, I don't know, I'm going to say probably about 80%. I might even go as close to say 90% of the things that you agree with now. I think I've come a long way in the last couple months, and then I bring up one viewpoint that I find that I have a strong stance on, and they go, oh, well, you're sexist, you hate women, you're a monster, and then that is very, very off-putting.
Yeah, and people are mean to you.
It's not even just me. It's not even just me. I'm not saying that I'm a victim here in this, but what I'm saying is that if people are trying to get them to move to their side of the aisle, attacking a viewpoint and just saying, well, just because you disagree with me, you're sexist or you're racist or you're bigot or you're a xenophobe, that's not productive. You're not gonna get people to look at your viewpoint by doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, people are saying like the paradox of tolerance in the chat, and they're talking about that. We're like, we shouldn't be tolerant of intolerance. Like, intolerance is the only thing that you shouldn't be tolerant of, because in a society that tolerates everything, an intolerant actor is a real threat, is a real monster who can get control and can do a bunch of intolerant things without check. So I recognize and value the paradox of tolerance. That's important to me. I also recognize that if the goal is to make it so that there are fewer Nazis in America, being mean to Iowa golfers not a good way to achieve that. You have some beliefs that I consider to be intolerant, but I don't really feel like you're at your core an intolerant person generating intolerant beliefs. I just think you have some intolerant beliefs from your upbringing. It's a little bit like the difference between racism and racial bias. Like, racist people think different things about the races or different things about people based on their race, whereas people who have racial bias maybe behave a different way around a person who's a different race. And these are both bad, but they are different, and I think one is way more evil than the other, and they need to be handled very differently. So we're seeing that in a lot of other topics. I don't think that you hate women, Iowa. I think you have some biases against them that affect your reasoning about things like abortion rights or other social issues. I think that you have those sorts of biases, but you're willing to analyze and deconstruct them. The racist is not. The racist thinks that those biases are good and wants to hold on to and preserve them and wants to make sure that other people have them. And it's just a different type of caller than somebody who calls in and tries to spread these hateful ideologies, which is why I often ask people to turn their camera on. If you're going to do that on my show, I'll want your camera on. Whereas if you're more a biased caller instead of a hateful one, I don't really need your camera on as long as you operate in good faith. I'm willing to just have the conversation. And I think that I'm more tolerant of people who are biased than a lot of people on the left. And I think that people on the left need to learn from me in that way and be more tolerant of people who are biased and less tolerant of people who are hateful. I'm on board for being not tolerant of hateful people. I think you've seen me handle properly hateful people on the show, and you know I can flip a switch on someone when they convince me that they are such a character. I don't think that you're such a character, Iowa, and I think it's utterly foolish that so many people do.
Appreciate it. But anyway, that's one of the only questions I really had today. I do want to ask you a question, and then you can drop me down and answer it if you want. I did see that, that deal that Wall's pardoning that guy. I saw him come out and defend his decision, saying that Minnesota wouldn't be made any safer by deporting him. I wonder how you view claiming that Minnesota wasn't made safer by deporting a sex.
Yeah, I don't think I'd agree with that. I mean, we already covered it. I don't defend what he. Here, I'll let you down because we're losing signal. But I got your question enough to answer it. Tim Walz, the governor of my state here in Minnesota, pardoned a person who definitely raped like a 12-year-old, like 20 years ago. Horrible crime. The reason he pardoned it was not as bad as you think, but I still disagree with it, which is that this is a free man who has served his time, paid his debt to society, but Trump wanted to deport him for having done that crime 20 years ago. And Walz did something that some governors are doing, which is he's leveraging the pardon to prevent Trump from getting what he wants, which I think is fair given the way that Trump leverages his pardon, his power of the pardon to get what he wants. So it's like, oh, we're going to deport you for this crime you committed a long time ago. Let's just pardon you of the crime, even though you've already served your time. So it doesn't absolve you of a sentence or anything like that. And that'll protect you from the pardon. The only thing that gives me the littlest hint of feeling like this might have been okay is that the victim sent a letter requesting he be pardoned for this reason because she didn't want to tear apart his family. So we have the good that's done, removing, because by the way, this person was deported. Trump went against it and deported him anyway. The good that's done is that there's one less rapist in this country. I agree with Iowa. That's good. The harm that's done is that person has kids and a wife who don't have their father and husband anymore. And I think tearing apart families is bad. Even if my father was kind of a piece of shit. I'm still sad that he's dead, I can value that, and I can value that the victim wanted that, but I still just think it was not the move. I think you got to pick your battles in terms of these strategic things, and this was just not the one. I think we need to have a harder line on this sort of crime, and I think that I would expect that him being pardoned means that this guy's not on the sex offender registry anymore. And he should be on the sex offender registry. I think we need to protect the sex offender registry as a tool to so great a degree that I am willing to go against that victim's wishes to have him not deported. I don't feel great about it. This is an ugly, messy edge case where if I disagree with Tim Walz, we disagree by an inch on a really wide spectrum. Because this is about as close as you could get me to supporting pardoning a rapist. I can't invent a situation that gets me closer to wanting that, but I'm still just on the side of thinking it was the wrong move. I wouldn't have done it if I was governor. Wouldn't have allowed it. But here we are, spending time on my spending airtime. This isn't IowaGolfer's fault. This is the political climate's fault. We have to sit here and talk about this in spite of the fact that Trump endorses and pardons sexual offenders all the time. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Also, if we're going to talk about people who have raped 12-year-olds, there's a lot of them in the Epstein files, and the Epstein files have still not been released. This is an issue of proportionality. This is a touchy edge case that is deserving of our attention. But how in the if you're upset about this case, if you have a strong opinion about what Walz did, you should be 100 to 1,000 to maybe 100,000 times more upset about what Donald Trump has done with his power as president than what Tim Walz has done with his power as governor. The lack of proportionality is just absolutely fucking insane. So yeah, that's my stance on it. I'm very close to agreeing with Walls, but the line, yes or no, should we have deported this person or should we have pardoned this person? He and I are on different sides of that. I don't think that we should have pardoned that rapist. Because yeah, I just keep falling back to the hard line we have to take for those sorts of crimes. But I've also given a lot of airtime to this topic. I talked about it for like an hour on Pickle's show, and I talked about it for like an hour on this show. So I'm going to move on to some callers. But before I do that, I will thank a couple people who went to the link tree in my bio and found my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon and sent me money on there. Thank you very much. Sandra for the $5 on Venmo. She says, thank you for letting these people show their true colors. I click on them and block them. It will help my algorithm. It's funny. It's like, I hate following certain callers, but I do follow certain callers so I can go see them on other lives and like see how they behave with other people. But it's like a bummer. It's like, I don't want to give them a follow from my account. I need to get a burner account for chasing around the chuds. That's what I should be doing. Francisco sent me $2 to say, I'm a day behind, but shake my head to yesterday's guy defending AI, talking about the engineering approach as if ethics isn't a part of engineering. Yeah, the AI technocrat bro, that was kind of uncomfortable. That was a pretty uncomfortable conversation. I like, just never mind suffering, never mind societal concerns, never mind logic and reason and what the experts have to say about it. Oh, AI's so cool, it's gonna like save the Defense Department. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Nonsense! Is there anything over on YouTube Super Chat? Sorry, my producer was in today, but she's walking my dog because my dog was being noisy. So I'm without my help. Kona said, W Jesse, here's $1 per time those stairs, LOL. Fun first day back. Yeah, Jesse took a couple days off. Maybe that's why Noodle's excited. It was also so hot yesterday that I couldn't really exercise my dog properly, so maybe she's just wound up a little bit. Generally speaking, says for $2 on YouTube Super Chat, glad to see it. Glad to see you today, Iowa. We do enjoy your airtime. Yeah, not everybody does. Not a lot of people hate that I platform the guy. A lot of people hate that I like consider him a friend of the show, but I will keep defending. It was the thumbnail yesterday. This caller gives me hope. We want Trump supporters to be like Iowa. Stop being so fucking mean to a guy who has made progress. It took me hours and hours to get him to like agree that we should eat the rich. He now agrees that we should eat the rich. That's a big W. Come on. Like, maybe it'll take a few more calls to get him to turn around on abortion, but like, stop being so fucking mean to him. He's trying. He's like, he's so good faith. I don't know if he's listening or not, but he knows how I feel about him. I believe that he is trying to understand this stuff and see it through a lens that makes sense. And he's made so much progress in the time that he's been calling into this show, which is like an hour a week for 5 months at this point. So yeah, if you're going to write off anybody who can't be convinced of everything in a single call, we're not going to fix America. Because we could, every single, like all of these conservatives that value Trump and the loyalty to the MAGA movement over the Constitution, every single one of them could be disappeared. Let's hypothetically say in Minecraft that they got like teleported to Mars. We'd still have a third of Americans who believe this shit. And IowaGolfer is the poster child of somebody who can deconstruct and who can like address the fact that they believe a bunch of nonsense that's really harmful for people to believe. So I will just keep spending airtime arguing with my own chat about whether or not he belongs on this show. He belongs on this show more than anybody. I hope every day to get callers like Iowa. They are unfortunately rare. I think the TikTok market's a little saturated. I think a lot of the people who call in the lives have already had their minds changed or are just hateful monsters who are going to keep giving the same bad arguments that they know are bad disingenuously, which is why I'm excited to get the phone number on the screen so that people can call in with a phone. But we explained at the beginning of the show why there's some technical challenges around that I need to address that I am working on. Zach was in the queue earlier, but they disconnected when I went to connect them, so we're going to see if they're back on purpose. How old are you?
Yo, what's up? I'm 19.
You support Trump?
I don't, but I have a question for you.
Ask your question and I'll answer it after I kick you.
Okay. I just wanted to know, in like your line of work specifically, knowing so much about the political climate, like going deep into the ways that the capitalism works in our country, do you ever have like a moment of lost hope where you just like, it's so deep rooted that you can't really take the weeds back, you know?
It's a good question. Broadly, no. You know, I don't think Hitler was going to take over the world in World War II. It could have been worse. You know, we could have failed to join the war for as long as we, for even longer than we did. Like maybe Pearl Harbor didn't happen until later. Maybe Germany needed to do something to get us involved in the war. Like it could have been worse. But I do think that I do think that the tide of hope and progress on Earth is a little bit inexorable. People don't stand for bad living conditions, which is why throughout history we've seen subjugated people rise up and overthrow their governments. We saw the French Revolution. We saw the fact that even though slavery was economically beneficial to this country, like, people saw it as evil and had to get rid of it. You know, Abraham Lincoln used it as a lever to win the war, but the abolition movement was growing rapidly. We saw the same thing with suffrage. Like, when there's evil in the world, people eventually can tell that it's evil because people don't like working all day to not eat enough food at the end of the day. People don't like working 80 hours a week to not be able to pay their rent. So this will end. We will get past this. How many people will die along the way is what I'm worried about. That fundamentally is when I have moments of real concern where my hope dwindles, when maybe when I'm not feeling the way that IowaGolfer makes me feel. It's not that I think that I'm just going to like give up and, the Republicans are going to take control of America and it's going to be like the Trump dynasty for 100 years. No, man. No, people won't allow themselves to be hungry for that long. And what's happening in the economy necessitates uprising. That's what the leftists are correct about, right? Like, if we stay on this trend, it doesn't matter what I say on my show, people aren't going to fucking stand for it. And I'm really, really afraid of how bad some of those outcomes can be. So it's a question of how quickly we correct what's happening. It's not like I'm not going to lose hope in the W. The W will happen. Will I be there to see it? Or will I be one of the casualties in this thing? That's the sort of thing that I worry about. How many of my neighbors are going to get killed along the way? How many people are going to be deported to countries they didn't come from? How many people are going to be put on planes and trains and automobiles and brought to places we can't see? That's the sort of thing that I worry about. But I have my moments of hope. And I know that whatever amount of hope I have about this being like a couple more years of difficulty versus maybe a couple decades of difficulty, I think the midterms are going to be really telling. And, come that Wednesday morning in November, I'll probably have some kind of speech to give as I start the show that day, because there's a lot of question marks in terms of what I look at when I can try to consider how hopeful I am about the path forward for this country. And a lot of those questions are going to be answered by the midterms. A lot of them are going to be answered by, like, we're going to see legislation that needs cooperation from a few Republicans, just like we did with the Epstein files, just like we have with the War Powers Act. These certain things where we're going to say, okay, after the midterms, if Democrats win more seats in the Senate, are we going to have a few Republicans flip so they can get 60 out of 100 or 67 out of 100? Like, are we going to start seeing that? I think that that's possible. Do I have hope in that? I don't know. In the debate space, I like to say that we don't have hope, only cope. Think with your noodle, stop guessing. Regardless of which side that you're on, I think it's I just think it's important we think practically about the path forward instead of thinking of it as all or nothing thing. That's from my heart the truth about how I feel about all this. It's going to be bad. How bad is it going to be? How quickly can we get over this? We're going to talk to Sign Up You. It says Sign Up You Die. Die is spelled with a J instead of an I to avoid the flags. So this is potentially a problematic caller. We shall see. I'll give him a chance. How old are you?
19.
What's the deal with your username?
I made it when I was like 10 for like Roblox, and I just stuck with it since.
Okay, I believe you. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I like how he's kicking out all the immigrants out of
why
the border, because they commit a ton of crimes.
They don't. They commit 2.5 times fewer violent crimes than other people.
Well, to be fair, I would like them to just like not come at all.
Whoa, stop before you move on. You said that they're committing lots of crimes. I pointed out that they are not. They are a less dangerous group than legal residents.
Yeah, I guess. But
do you believe me when I tell you that?
I mean, I have no reason to not believe you.
Okay. I appreciate that you just kind of trust me, because my chat, when I get shit wrong, my chat blows the fuck up. They're like, nope, caller's right. Oscar, you're wrong. Here's the source. They like freak out if I say something broadly like that. That's false. They're not dangerous, dude. They're not more likely to mug you. They're not more likely to rape you or murder you or anything like that. A lot of people say that. A lot of people, Republicans, say that on the TV, but it just isn't true.
Yeah, but I've seen so many stories of immigrants coming to this country and just killing people. Right. So all those stories.
Do you know how many illegal immigrants there are?
I don't.
There's about 12 million, which is a lot. Do you know how many people are in the country?
64 million, I think.
350 million. So,
oh, damn.
Yeah, you're young. You're young. I'm not going to fault you for that. Hey, it's okay. Yeah, I might jump on an older caller for that, but you're 19 and the education system's been biffing it lately, so I'm not going to blame you for that one. I might blame Trump for that one because he's done some bad things to the education system. So we have this group of people, 12 million illegal immigrants, and we have 350 some odd legal residents of the country. How many cases of like scary, violent crimes would you need to look at for you to be able to judge which group is more dangerous on average?
I don't know. I'd say just like a couple, I guess. I don't know. Well, I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, so here's the problem. There's 12 million illegal immigrants. So yeah, you can find stories where they've done horrible, horrible things. Rapes, murders, awful domestic violence. But what I want to ask really is, could you draw a circle around any group of 12 million people tied together by some particular thing? In this case, it's that they're illegal immigrants, but like maybe by what state they live in or by what type of job they have. Like if we grabbed 12 million hardworking, native-born American auto mechanics, we probably have 12 million mechanics in this country, right?
Yes.
Do you think I could like list several hundred horrible crimes committed by mechanics? Violent murders, rapes, that sort of thing?
No.
You don't think I could come up with examples of...
yeah, you could.
Right, because 12 million is a shitload of people. So if you take 12 million truckers or plumbers or mechanics or teachers, I used to be a teacher. If you took some group, illegal immigrants, whatever group it is, you're going to be able to produce these anecdotes of them doing something fucking horrible, right?
Yeah.
So it's not very meaningful to me that people can provide examples of illegal immigrants doing bad things, because of course there's 12 million of them, obviously.
Yes.
So the question is any particular illegal immigrant more dangerous than somebody else? And that's what we look at in the legal system when we try to address how we handle certain groups of people. Here's a group of people who are really dangerous. One group of people who are very dangerous are people who've committed sex crimes. And the reason that people who've committed sex crimes are so particularly dangerous is not just because sex crimes are horrible, which they are. That's a big part of the reason. Do you know what a recidivism rate is?
I do not.
So a recidivism rate is how likely a person is to...
Welcome to hell. This is Bigfoot's forest. Quick fam rolling. You can't ignore us.
I didn't figure out how to turn it off. Anyway, sorry about that. A recidivism rate is how likely a person is to commit a crime if you know that they've committed that crime before. So if somebody rapes somebody, suddenly we can look at like what the average rate of rape in the population is, like, right? Like, like however likely it is for a person to be a rapist. But if we know that somebody's raped somebody before, we can go, now that we know that about them, the likelihood of them raping somebody else is much, much higher. That's a recidivism rate. The likelihood of somebody reoffending after they get out of prison is really what it means. But in terms of this conversation, what I'm pointing out is that people who have raped somebody are very likely to do it again, regardless of what in their life changes. You get what I'm saying about that? When I say what in their life changes? Because for the example I like is that you're 19. I actually use the number 19 for whatever reason. I like saying if you rob a convenience store when you're 19, when you're broke, maybe you live in a bad neighborhood, maybe you're desperate, maybe you're getting evicted, you rob a convenience store, that's bad. It's a bad thing to do. But if you're like 20 years later, 39 years old, your kids are in high school, you live with a white picket fence in front of your house, and you're working on paying off that mortgage, and you got a big job that you care about, should society worry about you robbing convenience stores?
I would say no, because you're like well off.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Because it's because of your economic circumstances, probably, that you committed that crime. That's not so much the case with rape, is what I'm pointing out, is that with something like rape, the recidivism rate's really, really, really bad. So even if your life has changed, somebody who raped somebody when they were 19 is still somebody who I think needs that mark on their record when they're 39. That's why we have the sex offender registry.
Yeah.
You following all this?
Yeah, I am.
So the reason I'm explaining all of this in this conversation about illegal immigrants is because we have to think this way which I would say is just reasonably about how exactly our policies protect people. The sorts of policies that we can make are to say things like, if you commit a sex crime, maybe the parole that you're on after you get let out of prison, if you do go to prison, maybe the parole needs to be really long. You know, instead of 5 years of parole for robbing that convenience store when you're a teenager, maybe we need 30 years of parole because we need to keep an eye on a rapist for a very long time to make sure that they're okay. Is this all making sense to you?
Yeah.
If we apply this sort of reasoning to the concern that you have about the crimes that you have seen reported committed by illegal immigrants, what you'll find is that it's not a very good way to prevent those sorts of crimes to go after illegal immigrants. If you want to get rid of rapes, if you want to get rid of murders, if you want to solve those issues of public safety for society, zooming in on the illegal immigrants is to miss not only a larger group of people, everybody else, but even if we just were to take a sample of 12 million legal residents, because there's 12 million illegal immigrants, and compare them, those random 12 million residents of this country, legal residents, citizens, and people who have legal status, they are also committing more rapes. They are also murdering more people than the 12 million illegal immigrants we're comparing them to. And there's not 12 million of them. There's more than 300 million of them. So if your goal is to use law enforcement and government policy and all the levers of control that our politicians have to make fewer rapes happen, to make fewer murders happen, to increase public safety, going after illegal immigrants is just very silly.
Yeah, I suppose it would be a bit like odd to go only after them, but I also think that he's trying to prevent the crimes from even happening in the first place by not letting in as many illegal immigrants like as possible, you know?
Right.
Just like slowing down the rolls for like less crimes, less all these horrible things that are happening.
Right. You could draw a circle around any 12 million people and say if we got rid of these people, if we incarcerated them, whatever we did, it would prevent the crimes that group of people committed. And drawing that circle around illegal immigrants is just not a very effective way to create safety for people, especially because it fails to consider how valuable that group of people are to society. Because if you think that because one illegal immigrant murders somebody and they weren't supposed to be in this country, so that murder shouldn't have happened here or whatever, however you think about it, you have to consider the fact that to get rid of all of them, to draw the circle and say this group is bad, because it doesn't really have anything to do with the crimes they're committing that they don't belong here. It just is the fact of the matter. You're going to get rid of a lot of people who are really beneficial to the economy. You're going to get rid of a lot of people who work in the agricultural industry because more than half of the laborers in the agricultural industry are illegal immigrants. You're going to cause all these problems for society that are really grievous, really bad, that I would just go back and say, if you wanted to stop rapes and murders, why didn't you just go after rapists and murderers? As opposed to illegal immigrants specifically. It doesn't make any sense. If the goal is public safety, it doesn't make any sense. For every dollar spent doing that, you could have saved more people from rapes and murders if you took a different approach, is what I'm saying. So it's foolhardy. It's you do a disservice to the victims of rape and murders by focusing on a group of people who commit disproportionately few rapes and murders with your law enforcement budget.
Yeah, you're right. But I still think that they I don't know, maybe we should have a program in place to make sure, a background check type thing, to make sure that they don't have anything, haven't committed any previous crimes, and that we won't let those people in.
Yeah, I agree. It's not always going to be perfect. And the reason I'm okay with it not being perfect, we can't, not everybody who arrives at the border is going to have, a stack of paperwork from their previous government promising that they haven't committed any foul deeds. But, I was born here. I was never checked. They didn't check if I was a bad person. They didn't check if I'm a rapist. They didn't check if I'm a murderer. Why is the standard so different for this group? Why is the standard that you want for this group so different when we already know that they're the less dangerous group? If you feel that way about them, maybe we should start checking on the people who are already here. It's white dudes who were born here that commit most of the crimes, whether we measure it by what their their proportional rate or just the total number, because there's lots of white dudes in this country. We could make that sort of argument and go, all right, it's time to start knocking on doors and vetting the people who were born here. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to do. What are we checking for, right? Do we hold up a magnifying glass and look and see, does this look like a murderer? It It's not even very reasonable to expect a country that an illegal immigrant or a legal immigrant is coming from to like have that sort of information about them for the same reason that like we don't have that information about our own residents, right? If we sent an immigrant to another country, could that ever go? If I moved to Zimbabwe and the Zimbabwean government was like, "Hey, United States, is Oscar a rapist or a murderer?" Are they going to have a perfect answer for them?
Probably not.
Right, because plenty of people are rapists and murderers, and if the government knew which ones they were, they'd round them all up. That's going to be the case for any country, whether it's the country that's sending us immigrants, whether it's us receiving the immigrants. It's just like it's kind of wishful thinking to say that we could just like vet these people. That's why when people say that they're unvetted, I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, how do we, if we could vet people, we wouldn't have school shootings.
Yeah, that's true.
We wouldn't have serial killers. No. We wouldn't have, women wouldn't have to cover their drinks if there was a mechanism for the bar they're in to vet people who walk through the door. It's just kind of magical thinking about law enforcement to say that we need to vet people. Which is why when it comes to actually trying to protect people, which is what I'm really concerned about, I just don't think it makes any sense at all to even consider the cohort of illegal immigrants in a conversation about law enforcement in this country. Yeah,
you're right. All right. Well, thank you for having me, I suppose.
Well, hold on. I know it's a lot to hear a big explanation like that, and it feels to me like maybe that's changing your thinking about this, because you brought it up as the reason why you want the immigrants deported. And I don't want to pile on you. So if you need time to stew on that, I can let you go. I'm not going to hold you down and be like, believe everything I said because you believed one thing I said. But am I correct in kind of assessing that I've turned your position on illegal immigrants kind of on its head with some of this information?
Yeah, you have. Like, I don't know. I never saw any of this evidence that you just said. And I guess I have to do some more research on my own.
Well, there's only really one piece of evidence that I offered you. There's exactly one piece of evidence that I offered. The rest of this we'll get to in a second. But the one piece of evidence that I offered you is that illegal immigrants are 2.5 times less likely to commit these sorts of crimes than the general public. That's like the only actual claim that I made. So this whole conversation that we just had is predicated on just that one piece of information.
Yeah.
The rest of it was all you. All this stuff that you're sitting here thinking, that's your brain doing the work. I mean, I got you there because my brain was already working in that way, but that's what teaching is, right? I kind of taught you a sensible way to think about that particular piece of information, that illegal immigrants are 2.5 times less likely. I guess the only other thing I educated you on is how many there are, 12 million, and how many people there are in the country, which is somewhere north of 300 million. So you can say that if those basic facts that we covered are true, that's a big if, because I don't trust some random asshole talking to you on TikTok, which is what I am. I'm just some guy. But if this stuff is weighty for you, if this stuff is important, I'd urge you to go research it. I'd urge you to go check that those things are true. People disagree a little bit about how many illegal immigrants there are. I don't think the exact number matters for the argument, right? Would it be any different if it was 10 million or 20 million?
Not really.
Right. Yeah. The 2.5 number comes from a study that came out of Texas about criminality of illegal immigrants. So you can Google that, likelihood of illegal immigrants to commit violent crime, and you can check that stat. But the rest of it isn't just a bunch of stuff I'm claiming. Like these are reasonable conclusions that you have arrived at with me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to getting to those reasonable conclusions, my big concern about what's going on right now is that people are lying to you about what that number is. When people say, like, here's an anecdotal example of a particular dangerous crime being committed by somebody, that's actually just a terrible, terrible way to come up with policies and plans to deal with safety when we have a country with 350 million people. So I want you to give yourself more credit than that, because I didn't educate you on very much. I gave you a couple of facts, and then I asked you some questions, and I knew where the questions were going, but it sounds to me like you're perfectly capable of thinking reasonably about this. So that's all I'll say before I let you go. I want you to give yourself more credit for understanding this stuff, and I just want you to go make sure that the couple of things I claimed were true. And I'd love to hear from you again.
Alrighty, thank you so much then.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you have a good day.
You too, man.
Scout, I just bought this desk pad. Why must you... She's stuck to it with her dang nails. Go use your scratch pad, silly. That's how you do it, people. Why would I yell at a 19-year-old? Sometimes I yell at 19-year-olds. Sometimes they give me a reason. 19-year-olds are allowed to sign up to be in the military. They're allowed to purchase firearms. They're adults. Not allowed to drink. But it's just what we were talking about with Iowa, right? Like, I'm sure that caller has some beliefs that I could have gotten down the rabbit hole and gotten upset about, but it's just not effective at fixing the problem of these people thinking things that just aren't all that reasonable. So yeah, I went into high school teacher mode because that was the right mode for that particular call. Did I read Francisco on Venmo? I think I did. W. Jesse for distracting my dog who was having a total fit today. So she's not in the room. So I don't know where I left off on the donors. Let's see. Oh yeah, Butt Mustard sent for $2. IowaGolfer is a glimmer of hope in a dark tunnel. I agree. Guitar Kirby sent $5 to say the goal should always be to change minds, not to feel superior and smarter than the interlocutor. Iowa is one of the good ones, or will be. I agree. Anacaniac sent $2. Thank you. They just said Daily Dono. And somebody sent $5, but they deleted their message. Message deleted by the mod. I'm guessing they sent $5 trying to get me to read something horrible on the line. This ain't Anchorman. I do try to not say the things they say. And then Anacaniac sent another $2 to say, wow, what a useful call, W guessed. I think that was for the recent one, so I appreciate that. Let's just hop over to Buy Me a Coffee. Nope, nothing new. Chill show today. Linktree in the bio, Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Buy Me a Coffee is international if you do not live in the US and you want to participate. And you can follow me on the other platforms. That's free. It helps out a lot. Show runs on donations, has 2 staff members other than myself, and a whole shit mess of people working for it on the Discord. And I'm reading the Discord. Somebody's pointing out there that the caller also mentioned something about trans issues. That's right, yeah. Maybe we'll get back to that with him another time, but when you get that big a W, you gotta just let it sit. You gotta. The call was pleasant. Let him stew on it and call back in. That's better than trying to bite off more than he can chew. Let's talk to Christian James. Hopefully he's not a Christian nationalist. Hopefully Christian is just his name. It's okay if he's just a Christian. Hello, how old are you? Nope, I don't think he meant to join. Toe Muncher 22. I want to debate. I don't want anybody to munch my toes. But maybe they'll debate with me. Hello, how old are you? We're going to talk to Sneakers O'Toole. Got the troll icon in the
Yo, what's up?
How old are you?
I am over 18.
How old are you?
19. 2007 April.
Camera on.
20th. I don't know what.
Camera on.
What hour?
Camera
Sorry?
on. If you want to proceed, camera on. You can leave if you don't want to.
Show what?
Your face.
Why?
Because I've just detected that you're going to be difficult, so I'm just using my experience running the show that when I have that little feeling about how the call's going to go, I just insist that the camera gets turned on, and it stops me from wasting time with people who aren't being taken seriously.
Okay,
and I don't need a reason because it's my show. It is just the rule you have to turn on.
I was being polite.
I don't care how you are being. I'm just informing you. Right. I don't need a reason. It's my show. Is your camera turning on or not?
Okay, all right. Mr. Story Rage, all right. Good job. I'm going to leave now. Fuck you. Kill yourself, nigga.
Yeah, so, see? Proved me right at the end there, did he not? We're going to talk to Lawry, who I've definitely spoken to before, but my audience knows I've got a fucking blind spot for knowing who I'm talking to. Lawry's going to remind me how old he is and who he is. Hello.
I'm 21. I turn 22 next month. Sorry if my voice sounds a little scratchy. I'm kind of sick, but I have talked to my mom about you and stuff like that. I want to try to get her to watch your live streams. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm starting to get to her a little bit about supporting Trump, because it's not like she supports Trump, but she's just not fully known about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and watching the show can help out with that. I mean, I think we just had the sort of call that's really beneficial for that sort of thing. But, you could always see if you could get her on the line. I'd love to talk to her.
See, I want to do that, but I feel like it would be a little bit not so productive if I try to do so, because she like when she talks to someone about certain things, she gets a little not upset, but I don't want her to accidentally get kicked off the live for saying stuff she shouldn't. She shouldn't, you know.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, there's really only a couple of things that'll get you kicked. You can't say the names of any substances, you know, like the green stuff or anything like that. You can't talk about self-unaliving. I think you know what the term there is. And you can't say any slurs. And then beyond that, unless your mom's a conspiracy theorist, it's pretty hard to get kicked from the show, because if you say that, like, for example, the earth is not round or something like really silly like that, TikTok tends to kick people for that. But I'm not going to kick her for being, you know, rude or difficult or anything like that. And I can just tell you, especially if you come up and preface and say, hey, it's Lawry, I'm the guy who wants to bring my mom on, you know, especially when people are reticent to get involved, like, I tend to be much more gentle. People who call into these shows know what they're doing. They've seen debates. They know the structure. They know how it all works. You're kind of signing up for something when you hit that button. But if she's not doing that, you're doing that, and you're saying, hey, talk to this guy, I will consider that when I talk to her, that she hasn't quite signed up to step into the octagon with Oskar Quentin. She's just talking to this guy on her son's phone. And I have the social grace to consider that when talking to somebody, even if I really disagree with them a lot. So if you get your mom on the line, I'll be very, very gentle with her.
Awesome. Also, I have one more question, because I've been trying to get in touch with you for a while, but my work schedule is like it's 10:30 to pass the stream, so I couldn't actually get to it. But it's about abortion, and I am not against abortion, but I just want to make sure like I got the right lens, because I really do support women doing what they want with their body, because it's their body. Why should I have a say in if they should get an abortion or not? But one of the takes I've had is like, should like they be able to get it like multiple times? Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it's just like a thing that just,
it's rare.
Yeah,
it's rare enough that I don't think it's a big issue. Like, it's pretty. Nobody likes getting an abortion. Like, it's a really unpleasant thing to go through with your body. Depending on how far along you are or exactly what type of abortion it is. It's something that often requires time off of work and a lot of physical discomfort, and there's lots of medical complications. So I will just say, I think you trust me enough to kind of just believe me when I say this. If you've heard anywhere that people doing that's a big problem, they are just lying to make you feel differently about it than you should. It's very, very rare for people to get, like, you know, sometimes more than one in a lifetime. Like, that's not terribly rare, but life is long, you know. That's you might not take good care of your teeth and need more than one of them pulled at some point in your life, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're like abusing your dentist. It's just life is long and mistakes happen, and for some people they're going to happen more than once. But the idea of people like using abortions as birth control and just like getting a dozen through their 20s because they don't give a fuck, that's rare.
Yeah, because I just hear that so much. I'm like, that just really doesn't happen. If it did, like, so what? Who cares? It's their body. It's not yours.
Yeah,
like,
I'm speculating here, but I would expect that if you found some examples of people who got an above average number of abortions, they're probably people who don't have the best lives in other ways. Yeah. Whether that's economic conditions or maybe, you know, the men that they're around, or what, you know, maybe this is a sex worker or something like that. Like, there's going to be things that make me say like, oh, it's terrible that this one person's doing this so much. I really feel for them, because that's the only thing I can feel about when we talk about these things. But you know, without even getting lost in the weeds about it, such situations are very, very rare, and I just don't think are meaningful talking points.
Yeah, I just really don't understand why guys care so much about this non-issues. Like, what are you mad at women doing what they want with their body? Nobody's telling you to do what you want with your body. Like,
well, to answer that, to be completely clear, I don't think that the people who are telling you that that's a big problem are convinced of it themselves. I think they know that it's not, and they want to control women, and they're using that. You know, they're amplifying their disingenuous concern about that particular thing to harm all of the women who want to get abortions or want to have access to get abortions if they need them or want them. And that you know, that's disingenuous. So when you're confused about why they're doing it, like, I hate to, you know, throw my tinfoil hat on and say it's because they're like, you know, executing some grand conspiracy to control women. But that is like very seriously what's happening. The people on Fox News know what they're saying is bullshit. They just want you to believe it. So don't take them too seriously. Don't try to make too much sense of it. They know it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they just want to control women. It's really just so obvious. They're just trying to put it into terms what dumb people can't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dumb people can eat it up. I would say.
Right.
But yeah, I just it's really just men wanting to RIP woman and get away with it. It's really just it just really just feels like it's just that.
It's something like that. It's something about that system. It's bigger than that. But you're on the right track in terms of the system of control that they're seeking to abuse. But yeah, I keep talking to your mom. If you can get her to listen, that's fine. But if you get her to listen, I will say that make sure she understands what I said to you about the fact that I really give what I get on this show, because she might see me really biting somebody's head off. But I'm not, I'm not gonna bite her head off. I mean, I'm kind of just telling you that as a conditioner of having her on, because I do want her to come on, and I really, really like when people who are not already present in the debate space come talk, because it's very refreshing, and it often tends to be much more good faith, because we end up with so many trolls, and that's why it is kind of a gladiatorial arena, this debate space. But we can go into a call and say, no, this isn't going to be that. This isn't going to be me pointing out that the caller is doing those sorts of disingenuous things that I just told you the Fox News hosts are doing. This is going to be a much more down to earth sort of conversation, of the sort we've seen today. Because we've had some callers today where I'm not taking the harder line that a lot of people on the left might. So yeah, keep talking to her, and I'd love to talk to her someday.
I will. I'll try to get in touch with you. I think she'll actually like talking to you, because you talk really well and stuff like that. Cause it's not like she's some hardcore MAGA or anything. She just has a few conservative views that just seems a little harmful. And I don't want that to get to my little brother, even though my little brother already understands a good bit. I just don't want him to feed into any of that,
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm gonna move on, looking for a debate. But I look forward to hearing from you again. We are gonna accept a username that does not have Latin characters. After I remind everybody about the Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee in the link tree in my bio. If you want to support the show in any of the ways that you can, Buy Me a Coffee is international. People have been asking for a while. Lucky Phil says, "Fine, buy a coffee for $5 on Buy Me a Coffee." Thank you very much. We're going to talk to, I can't read it. I don't even know what languages that is. It doesn't quite look like Arabic. I don't know. We'll see. Not connecting. Going to disconnect. Going to move on to Willis. I'm going to see what Willis is going to talk about. Hello.
Hi.
How old are you?
I am 32. I was born on May 17th, 1994.
All right.
So I am a friendly. I just wanted to ask, when you were talking to Iowa yesterday about abortion, I've heard parts and parts of it, equity, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess you might need to take the quote unquote teacher approach, maybe. So my question is this. So I'm all for abortion. Women choose, what they do. I guess for me, I struggle with the concept of they decide if they want to go through the birth, then I feel like you're forced to pay child support. It's like it's almost like it's their decision ultimately. Mm-hmm. If you pay child support. Maybe I might, because you're a friendly, ask that you just go to the VOD on my YouTube and listen to the whole conversation, because sure.
I do have, I'll reiterate.
Well, you have the full conversation.
Yeah, so I'll give the super short version, because I'm sure the 1,000 people watching are just curious what my direct answer is, but really, really quick. I think there's two issues here. It's that a man and a woman have a pretty equal contribution to causing a pregnancy to happen, assuming this is a consensual case. We're talking about, consensual cases here. And then separately, Mother Nature has dealt this unfair hand to women, which is that they are the ones that have to carry the child and the man isn't. And it is a little unfair for the man that the woman gets to decide whether or not he's going to end up paying child support, because in my world, she gets to decide whether or not she keeps the baby. I recognize that with no other context, that's a little bit unfair. But I, in my ethical structure, which is the Rawlsian critique on utilitarianism, if people want to go look up the Philbrough version of it. It says it's okay to make a rule that's unfair if it addresses a situation that is already unfair in the other way. The woman is disadvantaged by Mother Nature requiring her to carry the child instead of the man. The man is disadvantaged by us giving the right to the woman to determine whether or not she should carry that child and cause the man to need to pay child support. I consider that an equalization of the playing field, not something that makes the situation less fair for men. It makes it more fair for everybody, even if that means technically, like, across the board worse for men because they might have to pay child support that they don't want to.
I guess, like, I mean, if it's both consensual and gosh, I feel like I'm going to keep going circles and circles because I don't want to drive people up a wall here. But I appreciate your time. I really like your live streams. I like how just laid back you are with like trying to explain to people, and
I try to be, not always.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can chew on that. That was the quick answer, just so the audience isn't left hanging. But yeah, it's timestamped in the description on YouTube. So if you go back to yesterday, which is episode 85 on the YouTube channel, you can find that conversation with IowaGolfer and hear it much more fleshed out between me and another caller and Iowa. And the chat was mean to Iowa, and I'm mad at my chat for being mean to Iowa yesterday. Not cool, chat. Obviously not everybody in the chat, but the people who were mean to Iowa yesterday, not cool. But yeah, my full argument is fleshed out there. YouTube is the same name. I'm just Oskar Quentin Music is the handle. But if you search Oskar Quentin in the search bar on YouTube, I come right up. Link tree in the bio.
Again, just want to say to all the chats, like, it's just a moral thing. I'm not like, I could see one way or the other. I just struggle with the concept. Like, I get what you're saying, but I'm not, like, I support the right to choose.
Sure. Yeah, you're just trying to square something that seems a little unfair to you about it, and I think it's important. Like, it shows that the gears of ethical reasoning in your head are turning. That you have this little flag of like, oh no, but this creates this unfair thing for men. I can get behind you having that reflex. I just think that if all the gears of ethics in your head are turning, one of them cancels the others out and says, yeah, but the men had a pretty good go in terms of how Mother Nature determined how pregnancies were going to work. If child support's a thing that equalizes that, I'm okay with that personally.
Well, someone just said this. Now I just have to bring this up. Someone made a good point from the chat. The man should have that combo before sex. Couldn't you? I guess, like, also, what if they end up like lying to you or something? I realize that's a really rare case, but I mean,
well, and those are the sorts of things that you have to litigate about. Like, for example, like if you have intercourse with a person and you lie to them about having a vasectomy, but you didn't, and they get pregnant.
Yep.
I don't know how the law works on that. I would hope that if there was any way to prove that, like, let's just, for the sake of making it more than a he said, she said, because he said, she says are always going to be difficult in court. Like, if you had a text message of him saying like, oh no, I don't need to buy condoms, I'm clean and I've had a vasectomy, but that wasn't true and he hasn't had a vasectomy, like, well, that's, or like the other way around, where the woman said that she's had whatever the procedure is called to have your tubes tied, the BiSalp or whatever the thing is. Like, if she lied about that, then I don't think he should have to pay child support. Like, I can come up with those edge cases, but they are rare, and and they're not really what's actually being discussed when we talk about the vast majority of these cases. Ethically important, ethically worth considering, but it's also ethically worth considering that a lot of these things are just going to be he said, she said, and he said, she said will be difficult in court for the rest of time.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I will let you go on to your next guest. And yep, I don't know how to. Can you kick me? I do not know how to.
No worries. I'll get kick. Better for me to kick you anyway. Yeah. Interesting questions. Kronos sent $50 fucking on YouTube Super Chat. Whost. Jesse and Raven, that's me and the staff. Love what you all do. Great calls today. Y'all keep doing what you do. I'll be here as long as you guys are. I'm always surprised that people turn on their cameras and spew this stuff. We are having some people who turn their cameras on and say fucking amazingly reprehensible shit. But yeah, big W for Kronos. Thank you for the $50. Kronos is a longtime viewer. He watches the members only stream, so he gets to see me in more like chill mode. He's keeping up with what all we're doing, and I appreciate the shout out for Raven and Jesse, who help run the show, because I got to pay them to do that, because they help me more than I could expect anybody to volunteer, and I still feel bad about all the volunteers, because so many people have contributed to this show through the Discord and just through other avenues. But, you know, those people listen to me a lot, so they hear me say it a lot. I won't take up too much airtime with it. But Snake's one of those people. He just sent 5 gift memberships to people in the YouTube chat so they can get into that members-only chat. Thank you, Snake, for doing that. We'll take one more, and we'll see if it has us running longer than 12, because we've got 7 more minutes in the scheduled show, but I will run long if a call is a good one. We're going to talk to RMV307, and we shall go from there. Nope, I think not. Nope, he's not connecting. We shall disconnect. Keegan, same thing. We'll see if we get one last good call in. Better faith day than we have than most days today is. Anyway, how old are you? Hello? I don't think Keegan knows who's on the show. Goodbye, Keegan. Thank you very much, Snake, for the $10. She said, sorry I couldn't be here today, but I caught the end. Well, and he's still donating anyway. Thank you, Snake. Really is meaningful. It's, you know, I was like having these conversations like privately off air recently with some people in my life about how like we all, like especially here in Minnesota, like want to find a way to contribute, want to find our path in this thing. And I think we figured out what I'm good at, and it's having these conversations. And the fact that so many people say, yes, Oscar's so good at these conversations, maybe my way of helping isn't by going out and doing, you know, protesting or doing whatever certain thing. It can also be those things. You don't have to only do one thing. But one of the ways that a lot of people think that they can help is by sending me money. And that's really meaningful to me, that there's this army of people who have put me at the front of this thing and said, like, I support what Oskar Quentin's working on. I support Jesse and Raven who work on the show. I support the Discord. I support this machine that Oscar's making to make the show better than it could be with just one person working on it. Because I'm getting to a point where I almost feel like I'm just like the talent, like I'm just like the guy, like, but the people who figure out like how to keep me updated on the news in a way that's you know, most beneficial to the show, because you can't keep up with all the news. There's too much of it. There's like all these other things happening in the background that make me effective at doing this. And that's why I'm constantly, at least to the best of my ability, getting more and more effective at running this show. But I've gotten to a point where the way that I run the show is not a way that I could run the show without external help. So I just have to keep shouting out that the donations go to me, keeping the ball rolling on that. And again, there's a lot of people who do it without pay. We're going to talk to Nathan. We're going to see what he has to say on this particular day. How old are you?
You're the fucking goat.
Appreciate you, Nathan. I don't mind the friendly stop-ins at the end of the show. At the beginning of the show, it's a little annoying when I'm trying to hit the ground running and have the debates. So we'll talk to Monk quick. He's a friendly. He's been waiting in the queue for a while. But that might be it for the day. Oh, and thank you, Jay Shell, for the $5 on YouTube Super Chat. What are your thoughts about a 3-day opt-out window for men, 3 days from the day of notice to opt out permanently of the obligation of children? I think that's ethically touchy, and I have no good answer right now, but I might give that more attention. I might think about that. I don't know. I don't know enough about the current system. So when I think about like rule changes, I'm not educated enough about the way that like child support and all that stuff is handled by the courts. So just not the right guy. I don't like asserting my opinion on stuff I don't feel like I have the expertise to think reasonably about, and that is just one of those things where like I don't know the exact rules about all that stuff. How you doing, Monk?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yourself?
Doing all right. I've had what feels like a better faith day on this show than we normally do, in spite of my dog barking her head off all the way through the show trying to disturb it.
Yeah, I just wanted to pass on some technical bits to you. One, if anyone ever tells you they have your IP, they're lying, because this is not a peer-to-peer network.
Yeah, I know TikTok does a pass-through. I get told that all the time, and it's nonsense.
Yeah. Secondly, that person who came up yesterday and you couldn't figure out why they got flagged, it was their PFP.
Oh, their profile picture?
Yeah, if you looked at it very carefully, you would realize it was a transgender slur.
Oh, well, good to know. One thing, it's not very easy for me to get the profile picture like up and visible on the screen. Like, there's a bunch of limitations in terms of handling guests that I hate about this live studio.
I say I told you I'm autistic, and sometimes something will stick in my mind. I'm like, why? And I just dug into that one to figure it out. Third, you heard about Donnie's having a bad day in court yesterday, right?
Oh, what was it? Remind me.
They determined that no, that he doesn't get to be immune from paying taxes. No, he doesn't get to be immune.
Yeah, that's good.
Right?
That is good.
And you heard about Mitchie's bad day, right?
Mitch McConnell?
I think that's his name. You know, that horrible, horrible person.
That very naughty turtle?
Yes. Thank you. The one that I always think looks like a botched vasectomy.
What went on? I mean, I saw the proof of life photo, and I find it unconvincing. I have been following Mitch McConnell's health for long enough to look at it and immediately think this looks like an old picture. His lips have been a different color than that for years.
Yeah. I was just that picture. And then there was the person who passed.
Lindsey Graham.
Yes. The other meat puppet of evil.
Yes.
Anyway, all that stuff put me into a certain mood, and I'm turning to your audience or you. I want to make a donation to a charity.
Oh.
Because I got my most recent, trust fund check that I don't need. So give me a shout out of what you would recommend, please.
Fuck. I know that you're a hefty donor. I know you donate big. Are you in my Discord?
No.
I want to give you a more thought out answer. I should have one ready for moments like this, but
I wanted to join your Discord, but I'm going to be really honest. I get lost in all of. For as technically savvy as I am, I'm still really fucking old and I know it. And I'm dyslexic. So I get lost in trying to figure out, okay, where is this link tree? How does it work? Linktree just is really horrible to dyslexics. Or at least this dyslexic.
Okay, well, so I know you can message me. I like the default answer that I've been giving since Metro Surge is to just find mutual aid for your neck of the woods, which I don't know where you live, Monk. But there are a bunch of.
I live in Seattle. Trust me, Seattle is like well taken care of by they're good people here.
Yeah. I've been supporting mutual aid because I think it's one of the, if you're concerned about the stuff that's happening in Trump's America, like going for mutual aid, direct on the ground assistance for protesters and for people who are afraid of, conducting their lives normally because of ICE. Those are going to be the things to look at, and I'd be totally happy to find one for your area if you want me to spend some time offline doing that, or I could direct you to some ones for my area if you want to support people in Minnesota.
I've been supporting in Minnesota because I have a friend who does a live. I don't know if you know of them or not. But he's very controversial in his own way. He makes me look conservative in terms of his left-leaning views. And he goes to protest. He's gone to jail a few times, and I bail out people and stuff like that because it's just so not fair.
I mean, if that's something that you're concerned about, there are like particular.
Those I follow. I'm just looking for something like for the evil these people.
This is Bigfoot's forest.
That is annoying.
I don't know. Gotta figure out. I didn't figure out how to turn it off during the reset today, so that's been happening a couple of times.
I'm sure several of your viewers have already figured out.
Yep. I'll deal with it for tomorrow's show.
Dean knows. Dean knows. Message Dean.
I'm not gonna bother Dean with that. If I'm gonna message Dean, it's gonna be it'll be for something I can't get help with from somebody else.
That's a good point.
Having someone like Dean in your DMs is you got to behave responsibly with that. His inbox is a mess.
You're right.
But yeah, and Dean, you have to turn off all gifting. Well, that'd be okay. I mean, I don't actually worry too much about the gifts on the show. Anyway, if you're concerned about unfair legal action against people who are fighting the good fight, like I might recommend you the Legal Defense Fund for the Minnesota 15, and I can send you a link to help with that. Those are the people who are.
I can find that one. But I don't want to put that. That's different from like what those people were against. I feel.
Well, those people were ICE observers here in Minnesota who were.
No, I mean the people that are having bad days that made me feel good.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And what I'm planning to do is $10K per year that they were alive.
That's a lot. Which is why I don't want to start throwing answers at you because I know that I stand to change where a large sum of money goes. So you should DM me. Or I know some of my mods are saying in the chat to check your DMs. So look at your DMs and you'll see some usernames that you might recognize from the chat here. And
thank everyone. I know I'm planning to give some extra to transgender rights. Just mostly because of that person it was such a disturbing thing. Oh, and that, by the way, that person who didn't want to turn their camera on, who was like the most passive aggressive, quiet nut job I've ever heard. I looked at their PFP and I was looking at it, and that was I never thought I would realize this. I'm pretty sure that was a transgendered racist.
Fascinating. I'm going to have to look into that.
Look at that picture. Look at where it cuts off. Look at how the body in that image is constructed and how they're standing. And then I just went to the idea of, Occam's razor. Whatever is the simplest answer, no matter how absurd. And the only reason it's like, why wouldn't they turn their picture on?
Well, Occam's razor is a heuristic, not an algorithm. So I always point out that Occam's razor is not always right. It's just a quick way to get to what might be the right answer.
You're right. You're right, Tank.
But
anyway, I'll check my DMs.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to listen to the rest of the live. Keep up the good fight. Be awesome. Your audience.
Oh, sorry for cutting you off. I thought you were done. But W's in the chat for Monk, because he does make some hefty donations, sometimes irresponsibly, as we've covered on the show. But we're going to help him make some responsible decisions with that next check. But that is the show for today. So if you enjoyed the show, you can go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on all the other platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads. I don't think that's in the link tree in my bio. You can find me on there, though. Anyway, those are free ways to help out. Trying to get those numbers up. Real excited about getting 10K on YouTube soon and getting the backup accounts bolstered. Get down here, click on this and follow if you haven't already. And then Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Pat in the chat sent me a YouTube super chat saying, willing to bet Mitch McConnell's current status is rigor tortoise. I have been enjoying the rigor tortoise jokes that I've been seeing everywhere. Because when the president mocks the dead, it gives us all warrant to. So we can mock the dead, and even if it's only people we speculate to be dead, because I do not believe the proof of life out of Mitch McConnell. I think he dead. Anyway, that's the Oskar Quentin Show for today. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow, 10 o'clock Central Time, every single day on TikTok and YouTube. Goodbye, TikTok. And goodbye, YouTube. Oh, wait. We got one more donation. Blaze Blitz. Thank you for the $5. Oskar, thank you for being amazing and doing what you do. I'm not too well off, so I can't really give much, but regardless, hope you stay awesome. I'll do my best, Blaze, and don't feel any pressure to donate if you're not, if it's not economically in the works for you. I don't want people who are struggling to donate to me. I want people who are not struggling, who see other people struggling and think that I'm a good avenue to prevent suffering in the world. I want them to do that. But I do really appreciate you. Have a good day, YouTube.